we go. Okay. I call the December 2nd, 2025 regular committee of the Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and state the time.
Right, 7 o'clock. Commissioner Covey,
Here.
Commissioner Reifman,
Here.
Commissioner Guzman is not here yet. Commissioner Hazen
Here.
and Commissioner Cummins.
Here.
Nice. It is our practice at this time to address questions from the public. However, to not address questions from the public. However, we will take comments under advisement. I see there's at least 1 or 2 people here from the public. Do you have any public comments? No, we do not. So, well, thank you for attending. Then we will move on. We will move on to the review of the updated policies, part of the agenda. Lisa.
Excellent. In your packet, we included 3 updates to 3 different district policies, the cell phone policy, the purchasing policy, and the preschool discipline policy. Staff will provide a brief summary on the policy changes, and we can answer any questions you may have. So the first one is the cell phone policy, which is John.
Great. Thank you, Lisa, and good evening, President Covey and Board of Commissioners. So the policy updates from the admin or finance side of things, it's the first 2 that we have here. First of which is the cell phone policy. So we are proposing an updated cell phone policy, which is going to establish a non-taxable stipend for eligible employees who opt to use their personal device in order to conduct district business. Our legal counsel, Ansel Glink, did review this policy and gave it their blessing. The expectation is the financial impact on this will be rather insignificant, but really we're going to reap the benefits in the amount of staff time that we have to spend right now in maintaining the cell phones. When somebody damages it or they need a password reset or whatever it might be, we don't really have an in-house tech person taking care of that. So in addition to that, we'll be able to provide the employee with the option of bringing their own device and not having to carry 2 devices, which might be enticing to some of those folks. So it could potentially be a win-win for both. It should be a win-win for both for those folks who do opt to receive the stipend. If employees choose not to, they really will have the choice. Any new employees that we onboard, though, we will just have them use the stipend. Any questions, comments on the cell phone policy?
No, I was saying, I appreciate the legal review of this. I think this is similar to what a lot of companies are doing, where they're saying you bring your own cell phone, understand the rules and requirements of it, and we'll give you X dollars in lieu. So I think if the lawyers have approved it, I'm okay with it, but would love to hear any thoughts. Okay. Sounds like that's a good one.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
So then in addition, we are proposing to amend the purchasing policy in order for it to align with recent statutory updates that increased the competitive bidding threshold from $30,000 to $60,000, and that's for supplies and materials. Labor still remains at $1,000. So we're proposing to update it in accordance with that statutory update. And then as part of that update, we did review our current policies, specifically as it relates to requiring verbal and written quotes. And we just wanted to make sure that, those were still appropriate. So we did some benchmarking with some of our peer districts. And what we found is we were somewhat on the lower end. So we are proposing to also adjust the requirements for verbal and written quotes, increasing the verbal threshold from $3,000 up to $5,000. Or starting at $5,000 and up to $10,000. And then we would require verbal quotes for anything from $10,000 to $29,999. And that just kind of aligns better with what our peer districts are doing, and certainly helps to alleviate some of the administrative burden that comes along with obtaining these quotes.
Any questions?
No, I think this is a good idea to move forward with this. It gives you guys more flexibility. So I'm in favor.
Great.
The chart that you have here, where it shows no quotes under 3,000, 3 verbal from 3 to 6, and 3 written from 6 to 30, that would be modified to say.
Correct. That's our current policy. So the middle column would read 3 verbal quotes from 5,001 to 9,999, and then the third column there will be 3 written from 10,000 to 29,999.
So where does the 60,000 come in?
60,000 is written in the policy. We're basically just aligning ourselves with what the statute now allows. basically requiring competitive bid for supplies and materials
Got it.
exceeding $60,000. So again, more
The state
flexibility there.
statute changed.
The state statute goes to 60. We're going to keep ours at.
No, we're moving it exactly.
We're going to align
what-
with the state
Yeah,
statute.
exactly what they have. State statute is 60 for materials, but
Waiver
wages,
stays at 30.
labor
Got
state
it.
is
Okay,
30.
that's perfect. Okay. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, we talked about it too in our Monday meeting and we reviewed it and I thought it made sense for what it's worth.
Great, thank you.
Okay, that's an easy one.
Okay, and now we'll move to preschool discipline policy update. Abby?
Good evening, Commissioners. So we did a comprehensive review of the policy. We've had some additional challenging behaviors this fall and the last couple of years. So we've also had some additional feedback from parents that they want more transparency around the policy as we have started to see those discipline issues and we have started to try to resolve them. Parents have wanted to understand the process a little bit more. So we hosted 2 parent advisory feedback meetings this fall so we could educate but also gain feedback from parents on the process and the policy. And we've included it's the changes in the policy for the board to review. So we're looking for any feedback the board has and we'll include to be approved in the December meeting if the board is come to a consensus.
Yeah, it seemed, it's from attending those 2 meetings, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion at first. And so having this written out makes sense. The one thing that I think Bobby may not have, that we should just make really clear here, you know, when it says provide availability within 2 weeks, that this can be a phone call, this can be in person, this could be a Teams meeting. I don't know if we have to call that out, but certainly with these working parents, sometimes it's hard to get everybody in this building. So if you think it needs to be called out, fine. It does not, it's a little ambiguous here, which is probably to our benefit.
Yeah, our goal would be to get parents to come in to have a face-to-face if possible. We understand a working schedule, that's hard. And we were very clear in the parent advisory that we're willing to work with working parents and the goal is to meet to start the conversation.
The thing we are going to be firm on though is that if we request a meeting, they have to take place within 2 weeks because we've had too many families that just try to kick it down the road.
Mhm.
So we're being firm on that 2 weeks. And if they don't meet within 2 weeks, then the child just paused from the program until they meet with us.
Okay.
We had to put some teeth behind it
Yeah.
so that parents would actually meet with us. Our goal is to work with them together and to come up with a solution. So,
And it's interesting that you know, some kids certainly do have challenges with the school, and it seemed like the parents of the other kids were more in favor of this 2 weeks than I would have thought. And so that's really
Mhm.
nice to see. Everybody wants the school to flourish. Everyone wants their kids to do well in school. So
Yep.
I think this is fine. This is exactly what we discussed in the meeting. So I'm fine with it.
Great, thank you.
Any thoughts?
This is, just want to make sure, this is only for the preschool, not for like before or after care at the.
Great question. So per DCFS, they have to actually give us guidance and they have to approve the policy. So our regular discipline policy is actually more stringent and it's basically a 3 strikes policy depending on the infraction. But DCFS requires this separate policy that also includes transitioning an individual out and that being approved by the state. So that's why they're 2 separate policies. Great question.
Okay.
if there's a consensus, we'll move all 3 of these to the board meeting under consent agenda since they've been discussed here.
Yeah.
Is consensus?
Fine by me.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Go ahead and
that's
do
fine.
that. Thank you.
Okay. Now an exciting part. I'd like to move to the agenda item, which is reviewing the survey results for the Lakefront Capital Project. Director Coos will lead a presentation on the survey results we received from the public regarding the beach playground and the sun shelters.
And before we get started, I just want to note that the survey results have been downloaded into your Google Drive, the detailed one, but we're providing a little summary right here for you and for anybody in the audience. So take it away, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, President Kobe. Good evening, everyone. So excited to be here tonight discussing the final community survey results for the beach playground and beach structure projects. So pretty straightforward presentation here tonight. I'm going to start with just kind of update on the progress and the timeline for the work, touch on the public engagement process that went into the survey, and then end with really going through each question, 5 total questions, discuss what the results were, and then open it up to the board for discussion. What we're ultimately looking for is if the board has consensus on each of the 4 questions that relate to the playground and the structures, that we then can move that for the regular board meeting in December to advance to final design development. Feel free to stop me anywhere along the way if you need to. So quickly on the timeline. So if you remember back in the summer, June and July, we started with our initial public input and community engagement processes, released our first rounds of survey that were really kind of garnering or gathering high level thoughts from the public on how to design or drill down on these designs. August through November was really discussions with the board and refinement of those concept options were developed and then ultimately released to the public in the final community survey in November. That brings us obviously tonight here in December for the final design concepts for the board to discuss and choose if there is consensus. At which point we would then move into final design development in the winter, move into permitting, contracting, and bidding in the spring, and then transition to our construction, which we are still targeting for after beach season 2026 to wrap up prior to beach season 2027. Real quick on the public engagement end of things. So similar to our first wave of surveys, we blasted it out through email. 6,400 emails were sent with a 71% open rate and a 10% click rate. Social media had over 6,000 views and 1,500 impressions. And our website had 416 page views for the community survey. So good amount of engagement, very similar to the amount of engagement we saw on the first rounds of surveys back this summer. And that also resulted in very similar numbers of survey responses. So we had 341 back in July and 331 this November survey. So with that, we'll jump right into the meat of the presentation. So question number one related to the playground structures. You all probably remember we had two concept options, option A and B. Option A was the more traditional playground with some connecting pieces that led to the larger structure. Concept option B was a little more modern, had the guppy and several more climbing elements. The results of the survey are at the bottom of the slide, 57% in favor of option A, the traditional, 42% in favor of option B, the more modern playground. Really with that, that's where I'd like to kind of turn it over to the board for discussion on these results, their thoughts on the playground options, and if it's there's consensus to advance option A or option B.
Well, the public has spoken, right? It's always interesting. And I'll shut up in a second, but in general, for those that are new, yes, the public speaks and we hear them and we take them into consideration. But it's also our chance to take the expert information that we have and make sure that it's aligned. And so there are times where this one's not too close, but there are times where it's 52-48, and that's where you know we put our expert hats on. But we'd love to hear if anyone thinks that the public is right. Is the public wrong?
I have some questions.
Sure.
So in both scenarios, like when I think of the longevity, I mean, they're basically going to last the same amount of time, correct?
Correct.
So like, it's not like option B had an advantage if we were to choose it and say, no, maybe the public doesn't know this element and we get more livelihood out of it.
Yeah, good question. They're both from the same manufacturer and they had the same expected life of roughly 20 years for a playground like this down at the beach.
And then with option A, does that give the opportunity where it touches enough age ranges amongst all kids, or is it pretty more focused on like smaller kids?
The overall design has kind of hit that sweet spot in the middle. So maybe not targeting the teenager, the 14-year-old end of
Yeah.
things, but more in that, let's call it like the 5 to 10 range.
Okay.
With play elements, you have ground level play elements in really both options. It would work well for the younger groups. And they both have climbing elements that are reasonable for younger children to do as well as kind of adolescent pre-teenagers.
Okay.
Go for it.
Sorry, I usually don't, now that I'm on the board, I don't submit survey answers because I feel like I get an outside opinion. I did, my 8-year-old had a strong opinion, and so I submitted the survey results
Perfect.
based
That-
on her opinion.
Look, there is no better opinion than that of an
I
8-year-old.
love it.
She's going to be using
Strong
it.
on option B, so I'm shocked. So
Yeah.
She thought option A looked too young for her. But
So I did the same thing, but
Yeah.
my 6-year-old had the opposite.
Oh,
She
see,
thought,
that makes me feel better
yeah.
because I was like, I'm shocked when I see the results and I'm like, oh, well, my
Yeah.
child was not in the majority. I think either one would be fine. So
I'm not gonna lie, option B seems like it's more adventurous,
yeah.
which is why I was asking about the age range.
Mm-hmm. Well, my 8-year-old is a third child and she's very adventurous with
Right.
playground stuff. So yeah, climbing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have 1 and 1. What I think is actually pretty interesting about the play structures, if I look at option A, I think one of the things that's appealing to people is probably, it looks like it's a little bit more increased shade.
Yes.
And certainly on those hot summer days, I think kids
Yeah. It's a good point.
look for the shade. Certainly, option B also has a good amount of shade, but option A has that like solid cover. So I don't know if that's what drew people to it as well. I'd love to hear, Kyle, your thoughts on this. Do you think is there a clear winner in your mind?
Well, I do not have a strong opinion from a maintenance end of things and installation, knowing it comes from the same manufacturer and it's reputable, one of the better manufacturers that we work with. I would be fully comfortable with either one. I would defer to the board and the public, certainly.
Oh, for
Yeah,
my,
that was a nice try. I mean, look,
for my thoughts on option B, this is a quick glance. I don't think it's gonna age well. I mean, I think it's gonna look like, I think like, it looks like it's gonna look old. When I say old, I don't mean wear down. I mean, just, you can tell when equipment is not like modern, and that one's gonna have, may not age as well. That's just my,
Like it's trendy.
There's more
more
ropes,
trendy, yeah, more trendy is my.
more ropes and things. Maybe those will.
But I can't even see it from back here. I can't see all that. I was looking at the spaceships more than anything else. Yeah, the main things there might be fine. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
That's helpful.
Okay, that is
What-
helpful, yeah.
What I will say, when I look at this a little bit more, is option B, as a parent, it looks really contained. So I can understand why the public was going more towards A, where kids can like roam around more.
Yeah. Can you zoom in on A as well?
Back out of
I will
there.
note, I saw a friend who lives in Lake Forest, who was at Lake Forest Beach, who posted, I think they have that guppy.
Oh, really?
So that's, yeah, I think they have that exact same guppy. So maybe the guppy would redundant too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the spaced out thing. I mean,
It's more spaced out, but I feel like B has more to do.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point. The climbing is really good. I don't, is there much in the way of climbing on A?
But here's the thing.
it's one of those things too where if we are split or don't have a strong opinion, it's really always good to go with what the community says. I
Yeah.
think if we have a strong opinion the other way, it's justifiable.
All right.
But like we put this out to the community to answer. So it's just to take that into consideration.
I'm fine with option.
I'm sorry that your 8-year-old.
She'll be happy.
I'm happy that your 6-year-old, right?
They're two good choices.
But it's always a challenge when we have two good choices. I'm fine with A as well. But want to make sure.
We're good. I'm fine with A.
All right, great.
Carrie, are you still thinking?
Doesn't matter.
Move on
The
to
6-year-old has spoken.
In
6-year-old is spoken.
this
Um,
one, it looks like we have a little bit also.
Wow.
Oh,
very,
wow.
yeah, it'll be a theme. There's some pretty strong favorites in all the options.
Wow.
So question number 2 is your favorite sand table with water fountain. Pretty clear favorite was option number 1, which is very similar to what we have out there currently. Not that option 2 is a great, divergence from what's out there, but option 1, pretty clear favorite from the public. And again, the question to the board would be agreement or discussion for different direction.
I defer to the public.
Yeah, I think this is one where it's a.
Yeah, that's really lopsided.
I didn't know how to choose
Yeah.
on this one.
No, me
frankly.
neither.
All right.
So option 1.
Option 1.
The theme will then continue as we move on to the water
wow.
play groupings. So option 2, which is more of that, I guess, kind of pirated theme with the sail and the dump bucket, as well as the spray rings, a pretty heavy favorite in option 2 at 68%, with 31% favoring option 1.
Option 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now this one, there is probably something that warrants a little bit more discussion. So from this question, it's selecting 2 of the 4. So pretty clear favorite for number 1 is the sand pulley station, the green third item from the left. But the other 3 were pretty well split, especially the sand scoop and the elevated sand table. So again, we're looking from the board for their 2 options to choose from this grouping of 4. So open it up to the board.
This is where it becomes a little bit tougher because I think basically the sand play station with the sifters, pulleys and scoops seems like a natural winner. But would love to hear more about the sand scoop and the elevated sand table.
So in terms of like what I'm sorry?
Yeah, like what?
The sand scoop is going to be what you used to see at all playgrounds with the sand digger that rotates at 180 degrees. The rotating sand tables and the elevated are pretty similar. It's more just that sensory kind of playing with the dry sand and not combined with the water. I think that really the rotating sand table and the elevated sand table kind of have the same play characteristics where you're getting your hands on versus the sand scoop or sand digger is, acting as if you're operating a large piece of machinery.
Yeah, sand digger, I'm sorry.
Sand scoop is ADA compliant as.
That's what I was gonna
elevated
ask.
Sand table.
Yes.
ADA
Okay.
compliant, so.
Yes.
I mean, for a quick glance, the elevated sand table, I think more kids can use it at the same time,
I
right?
think that will
Versus
be
like one, only
first.
one at the scooper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one.
That's a, number of people we have at the beach,
That's a
that's a
really-
no-brainer, yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I also, in particular, hate the sand scoop
Me too.
because oftentimes they're put right on the side and some kid is going to put the sand right on the concrete.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is, causing issues, but it sounds like the elevated sand table has won by one vote in the public's choice. So again, I think the public may have spoken.
My only question is, what is the main difference between the rotating sand table and the elevated? Like, what, is there like, because it didn't do well, but I am curious as to like, maybe just,
There's no
Um,
kids in the picture, so maybe that's why.
yeah, like, is it just because
Maybe
it's,
just the middle one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
That's true.
Functionally,
more accessible to young kids.
gotcha, okay.
I know that the public spoke with respect to the sifters, pulleys and scoops. I agree. It looks really cool. How do you think that's going to wear? And is it lime green in real life? We changed the colors?
the colors we put in the survey, the colors are subject to change. So if we want to go with a more
Like,
nautical,
that went with, yeah.
yeah,
okay, okay.
nautical themed colors is what
And
we'll
then
stick
how do you
to.
think this will wear? Do you think it'll be something we pull out in a couple of years?
I don't think so. Again, because of the manufacturing, it's meant for sand environments. That's what it's designed as for. It's a beach piece of play equipment. I think with anything, sand will wear some parts, but that's pretty much, we have to replace items on swings, periodically. It just gets normal wear and tear. I wouldn't expect any, significant, replacements needed barring vandalism of some sort.
So do we all feel good about option 3 and 4, it looks like?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd be good with that.
Okay.
Sand play station, elevated sand table.
Yep. Okay. I like that. I like Gary's point too. I like the fact that more
Yeah.
people can play.
For what?
So inclusive. I also was thinking like it would be nice for someone who's in a wheelchair maybe to be able to pull up there as
I
well.
agree.
I think that's a really a good feature.
All right, final question related to structures, and obviously a very big one, but again, a pretty significant split here. Question 5 was regarding the trellis and sun shelter. Gabled roof ran away with it at 70%. Slatted roof, which again was the operable roof trellis, and the slatted roof non-operable on the sun shelters at 30%.
Wow.
How did the 6 and 8-year-olds feel about this?
I don't,
There was no vote.
I don't think I don't know if I submitted a vote or not. She did not care.
I did. I mean, I did ask around a little bit, and I think people that I spoke with said when they use the trellis, they really want some shade. Why they got it.
So that
So
might be,
they had voted for
yeah.
the gabled roof option.
Is there more shade in the gable roof than the slatted roof?
On the sun shelters, it's full shade. As we talked about, I think at the previous meeting or October meeting, the slatted sun shelters are not operable, so you would get sun exposure like you do today in the current sun shelters. With the gabled roof, you get, full shade in that area.
We
I'm
dis-
happy with the gabled, given the majority, like I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it as well.
It's good choices,
Yeah.
but I,
Yeah, it's always a struggle for the board because usually we're given things that are kind of equivalent in longevity, equivalent in price, and equivalent in functionality. This one's actually a little different because we do have additional functionality provided, but what we discussed was there may be some parts to actually adjust or maintain with the slatted. But I'm fine with the gabled roof. It sounds like that's what the public wants.
What wasn't one of the things that we liked about the flat roof was the options?
Yeah.
And I'm feeling when you do a survey, they didn't get all the information we had. We were asking that when we were peppering her with question after question after question.
Yeah.
And
I
the
think
community doesn't have
we
have the ability to do
Yeah, it
that.
says open.
We
and
tried to
closing
be-
based on
yeah.
the weather.
I know, yeah, I know, but just, let's go through it and stuff. It says say it there, but I was saying we asked about 10 questions on that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I actually like the gabled a lot, but I remember why I thought we ended up leaning more towards the flat because of the options that it presented, but I kind of recall. Anybody else?
I personally like the fact that those little sun shelters would have full cover from a sun perspective, like
No.
I can understand why the public, if,
Yeah.
responded with respect to not the operable one, but the, those, if they were responding to the slats being open, still leaving open for sun on those shelters. I could see wanting more shade.
Yeah, I do hear that frequently that people, especially they think about the hot days where can I get
Yeah.
shade?
Yeah.
But I think, look, I think these are good choices, but Gary, you bring up another good point. If we feel like the slated roof is the way to go, I think we did discuss, and maybe I'm incorrect here, that we did not want to have slatted roof. We kind of wanted these to match.
Yeah.
Yes,
yes,
we
okay.
did say
So,
that,
so I don't,
yes.
I don't
Yeah.
think we can mix and
No,
match.
no.
No, two different styles.
But, that may have been in the public's mind where, hey, I really want the shade and the sun shelters. Therefore, we're kind of pushing them towards the gabled roof versus the slatted one.
That could have happened. I mean,
fine. I mean,
I'm fine with the.
I'm not
gable roof.
opposed to it. I just wanted to put that out.
I'm the trellis too, 'cause
Right. I think it's pretty. I think it looks pretty.
And again,
I'm happy with it.
we are here to represent the community,
Yeah.
and they made a really clear choice here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with the gabled roof.
The final question was really just the additional input for the Glencoe Park District. The full question 5 responses are on the Google OneDrive along with the larger survey. The stuff that was relevant to the survey, the questions we asked in the survey, the comments we got were largely related to shade needs, comments about making sure we provide shade on the play pieces and shaded areas for seating, which we are doing as part of this design with both over the playground structures as well as picnic tables adjacent to the playground. Playground features, there was several comments about wanting to make sure that swings were going back in, which they are, and there was a comment about how swings will be included in both designs. Some comments about the play features, making sure that they're safe for kids playing down at the beach, which I think we've discussed at other board meetings as well. Picnic tables and seating, making sure we're providing seating, which again, that was part of the design as well as existing seating. Safety accessibility, some just comments about wanting to make sure strollers and wheelchair access was available to the playground, which this is going to be an ADA compliant playground. And then just general comments and praise about thanking the district for engaging the community and giving responses. So again, the full list of comments is in the Google OneDrive, but just kind of a high level summary of what the comments were that were relative or related to the questions we were asking. With that, if there's any other questions, be happy to.
No, it's just a big thank you, Kyle. I know getting all this feedback is tough, and Aaron, it to you as well. I did see this in my Instagram feed, and it's not easy or without its challenges to get this in front of the right people. So clearly you did that. So thank you very much, and just really appreciate all the hard work here. I know it's not.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate
have
it.
one quick question. I think I know the answer. I want to double check. The gabled roof, it's currently brown, right? In the
It's wood.
design?
It's just right now. There's just wood
slat.
wood slats there.
No, I'm sorry, the roof's going down.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but we can determine the
I was
color.
gonna say that's a
Yeah.
later decision, really, what colors.
And that's kind
I mean,
of.
well,
It's kind of a beigeish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Trying to match it with the house.
What we'll likely do is come back with, here's what we're proposing for decisions like that, where they'll provide samples of this is the roofing material in this color or that color. So yeah.
okay.
So what we'll do is that we'll, again, under consent agenda in December, since we discussed it, there's consensus. Just pull it out if you want discussion. We'll put that, the board needs options.
Yep.
To public record, so.
So just for everyone's understanding, when we have these discussions here, they get moved to the consent agenda. We've already consented on this. As Lisa said, at that time, when we go through it, because we can't vote on anything in committee, we have to vote on things in a board meeting. You have the opportunity to say, and I'll say, does anyone want anything removed from the consent agenda? And if there is a significant shift, I will say in my 6 years of being in the Park District, we've never removed anything from it because we tend to have the discussion here in committee, but you do have that option.
Okay, so now we're going to the part of the agenda where we're going to talk about potential lakefront operational changes for 2026. There may be some, there may be none. And so Bobby and Adam are going to give you more of an in-depth operational review since we have four commissioners and give you some data on these decisions. All these decisions, how we operate, have been by the board in the past. So this is kind of how we review these every year. So.
Thank you, Lisa. So we're going to talk about 2026 lakefront operations. So on the agenda was 8 items. Hopefully we can get through some of them or a lot of them. So the first one being in-season operating hours. Second one, daily admissions and season pass model. We're going to talk about the Northbrook Agreement, the swim zone, carts, service operating hours, rocks on the beach, post-season operations, and information on parking. So all things that have come up in the survey and has come back from feedback from the community. So just to frame the conversation, just to put front and center, beach financials are always something that's important when we talk about the beach. Obviously, we're pretty limited on how much revenue we can make. Expenses have also been going up over the last 10 years. So this is a 10-year summary of both the revenue, expenses, and overall financial position of this swimming beach only. So no programming, no boating beach. So just a couple of things to highlight. Revenue has obviously gone up from about 320,000 to 380,000, with a couple of big spikes during COVID when we were pass holder only. Our expenses have also gone up significantly from about 270,000 to 380,000 this year. Mostly that's got to do with, continued operating expenses, but mostly minimum wage, which is the large wage expense down there that's variable every year. That's gone up from $8.25, $8.50 to now $15 over the last 6 or 7 years. So this year we projected to make a surplus of about $723. So we are breaking even, but you will notice that the overall financial position, it does ebb and flow depending on what's going on with the weather and also the model. And COVID was that one year where we had about a $200,000 surplus. But overall, the expenses continue to rise down there, and our revenue is with the model we have is pretty limited, and the amount of potential revenue is pretty capped. Minimum wage has stopped its annual $1 an hour increase this year, so we're looking more like a 3% potentially escalation in wage costs, part-time wage costs. So just bear that in mind.
Sorry, Bobby, just
Yep.
to go back, the minimum wage in 2016 was 9 something, 8.
I think it was 8.25. Yeah,
Now the minimum wage is 15.
correct. So it started to make that jump in 2019.
Okay, so it is a huge jump, and it's not just the people who make minimum wage that jump. Everybody that, if you had minimum wage at $9 and you had your supervisors at 11, now you've got your minimum wage at 15 and your supervisors at 18, right? So it's a cascading impact. The other thing just to note on here before you move too quickly is that the vast majority of revenue historically is from daily admissions. And that policy has shifted during COVID for a variety of reasons, but you'll see that we don't have that. We have not instituted that for since pre-COVID, and there are some benefits to this and there are some drawbacks to it. We can talk about those later, but
Yeah, it
just
looks like it's flipped. So it looks like
It is
tax revenue used to be
completely,
like they've just kind of swapped places.
it is completely flipped, and it worked really well during COVID. It worked extremely well during COVID. I am not convinced that is the revenue optimizing way to go forward, but there are some other benefits to having that going forward and for the community. So
Yeah,
it's up for, there's always a healthy discussion about this.
I think it's not revenue maximum. I would agree. It's more maximizing revenue for the lowest amount of attendees. I
Exactly.
think is probably a better way to describe it, but I think you're right, President Covey. So the next slide, beach visits. So this maps out over the last 10 years, and a couple of commissioners mentioned it already, but we have inverted, right? We used to have a lot of daily admissions and very few pass visits. Now it's gone the opposite. So a couple of things to bear in mind with that. When you pay to go to the beach and you're paying for one day, you're going to make the maximum value of that one day visit. When you have a pass and you can go anytime, you tend to go for shorter. So the visits we had back in 2016 are probably very different to the visits we have in 24, 25, where there's longer visits. They're probably you're waiting for the best weather day. While now it's more like, hey, the beach is, it's 78 degrees. I might go today. I have a pass. We'll go for 90 minutes. The kids will play in the playground. They play on the water. We'll go multiple times, right? So that has changed. So we used to see when those really big warm days came in, we'd have 1,000 people go to the beach on those warm days. And then when it was 78, there might be a lot less people. So just bear in mind that. So overall, over the last number of years, we went from 25,000 visits in 2016 to 21,000 in 2025, with a peak of 51,000 in 2020. We talked about, I think in the last meeting, was that at 51,000, the season was extended. We checked in at 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It was more of a 4 to 5 month season because of COVID, and we were tracking visits that whole time. So we were seeing a lot of visits, obviously, because there wasn't a lot to do. And then pre-COVID or post-COVID, back in 2022, we had 17,000 visits. And I remember talking to the board at the time where everyone was just so happy to be able to go places. They were like, we want to leave Glencoe. We want to go travel. We want to go do all these things. So there tended to be a bit of a exodus of Glencoe during that year. And then people kind of came back. And also it's heavily correlated to the weather too.
Can you go back?
Mhm.
Do you have the revenue and cost breakout based on daily versus pass?
I'm sorry.
So like at the bottom, you have a
Mm.
revenue per visit and a cost per visit,
Mhm.
but it's an aggregate
Yes.
of the two.
Mhm.
But I'd be curious to see the revenue and cost for each bucket, like for the
Number
total
of visits.
visits and the total daily visits.
Yeah, but I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we break up our, you have the revenue per cost bucket, but the revenue per type, because we split that out, but the cost, how would you split out like the lifeguard cost? Like we just divide it by the number of, like 20% of it goes to the daily because 20% of the visitors are daily? Is that what you're asking?
I mean, I was trying to understand if that cost, well, one, I was trying to understand if that exists even for the daily. Because the assumption I'm making, and maybe it's wrong in my head, is daily visits are probably more common on the weekends.
They were. Back in the daily visits right now are not because we don't allow. So let's actually take a step back. Do you want to
Yeah,
take a
I
step?
think a lot of the questions that came up,
You know where I'm
you'll
going?
see.
I'm trying to compare like apples to apples to like, what do the two look like, the two revenue streams on a per visit basis? But also understanding that a daily visit's going to look differently because more, I could be wrong, so please correct me,
Yeah.
that a daily visit's something that's more of longer. The
Yeah,
weekend but is on the weekend. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't, what do you mean by longer?
Longer visit, like we
Yeah,
just talked about it.
the daily visits in general will stay longer because they
Right.
want to get the most out of their money.
Yep.
So like and that's another reason, why we actually ended up
Mhm.
adjusting it. When you have a season pass, you feel good going there for 3 hours now, 2 hours here.
Right.
If you're paying $30 for that one day, you show up at 9 a.m. and you
Mhm.
tend to leave at like 6 p.m.
Right.
or 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Right?
Right.
You want to get your money's worth. That's certainly
Because this is a pretty much a fixed cost model almost because the labor,
right.
you don't really, I mean, that's your biggest expense is labor.
The incremental labor would be if they're going to open up a second,
Minimal.
have a second lifeguard there.
Right.
That's sort of the incremental.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're right.
You're
It's-
correct.
People in the water, we may put another
It's
guard
almost
on.
100%. It's 100% fixed costs.
That's what I
There's not
thought.
much variable in it, which is why I
The
imagine the
split.
cost per visitor type is similar.
And the visit per cost gives us a really good indication because if it costs us $17.35 for every visit that came in this year, if a resident's paying $12 on the daily and the non-resident's paying 24, it helps us to kind of say, well, the resident is getting subsidized by the non-resident as the resident has paid taxes. So it's just kind of giving us like where are we at related to those fees, and it's always a good metric because if it was costing us $25 per visit and we were only charging non-residents $15, then we know we're subsidizing the non-residents. So it's just kind of like an easy way for us to kind of see the value in the fees and what we charge. So just talking about the in-season operating hours, there was some discussion about do we want to keep the hours the same? Do we want to expand the hours? Do we want to potentially reduce them? So we just wanted to give what our current operation is. So lifeguards are on duty and passes are required for admission from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily during the regular season. Staff is on site starting at 9 a.m. and they generally stay till about 7:30 p.m. Our cashiers start checking people in at 9:45 a.m. At 10 a.m., staff makes an announcement on the beach and they go around and they check to make sure everyone has a pass, or they've used a guest pass. Otherwise, they have to leave the beach or purchase a pass. We stop charging admission and checking passes at 7 p.m. So after 7 p.m., anyone can go to the beach without getting charged. How do we compare to other districts? We looked at Highland Park, Winnetka, Wilmette, City of Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. We're probably closer to Highland Park, but there's a couple of communities that go longer. Winnetka does a 9 a.m. to dusk. Wilmette 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. City of Lake Forest is 9 a.m. to 7, and then Lake Bluff is 9 to 7. We also looked at some data related to how many people are actually coming weekdays between 5 and 7. So we looked at that data between daily admissions and pass visits. We went from 18 visits between those 2 hours in 2022 to about 30 visits this year in that period just before we close. And then obviously at 7 o'clock, people do know it's not being charged, so we do see an influx of people coming down as it is free.
So I was gonna say this chart, these are people who would be coming, just so I understand, they'd be paying the
Correct.
daily rate at
Or
5
or using their pass.
or using
yeah.
their pass.
Mhm.
Okay, because I don't think it's a great bet.
Yeah.
If you come at 5 and you pay, that's not a.
Yeah.
It's not the most economic.
It's
way to
not.
use.
It's
Like,
not.
To Jackie's point, people come, they want to get the most out of their money.
Yeah, but
Correct.
I do think that chart would, again, I've seen when it's free, you do get a lot of people. So I think that.
You do.
When I think of that, the 5 to 7 window, Michael, is like, you just got off work, you can quickly take the kids down to the
Yeah.
beach.
Yep.
If you have a
For
season
dinner,
pass,
have a
I think
picnic
it's-
down there.
Oh yeah, for season passes, it's a
Yeah,
no-brainer.
it's a good option.
Yeah.
For dailies,
Say that would, yeah.
I don't think you're going to see a large increase in revenue by, expanding the time we're charging. I think you'll just kind of reduce the number of people coming down. So we looked at the financial impact of adding an additional hour to the operation. So the assumptions we used was 1 manager, 2 cashiers, and 3 lifeguards. Typically around 100 days in the season. We'll say for this model that 80 of them will be actual open because you're going to have weather closures, you're going to have early closures, temperatures, all that sort of stuff. And then we put a 10% additional cost in there for covering FICA. So those expenses, and potentially if somebody had IMRF as well. So to add 1 more hour of operation, say to go from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. will cost us just over $9,000 in additional operating expenses, just using those assumptions. We also looked at after hours staffing comparisons at those other communities we talked about. So we're obviously kind of in the minority here. We don't offer any after hours staffing. So those typically are in the internal park ambassadors or some kind of internal or external security. So Highland Park does till midnight, Winnetka till 10 p.m., Wilmette till midnight, City of Lake Forest till 11 p.m. They have a parking attendant ticketing people. And then Lake Bluff is a night manager till 10 p.m. and then a kind of park ambassador and security until 1 a.m.
No, you might have the same.
Is
I
the
just
park
want to know
ambassador
what is a
security?
park
Yeah.
ambassador?
Great question. So park ambassador.
Oh, sorry.
It's here. So we're going to look at what would that be if we added 2 park ambassadors. So park ambassadors, they would basically be enforcing they wouldn't be enforcing, they'd be trying to make sure that we call public safety if we had to enforce ordinances. They'd make sure that, they're not going to be doing crowd control, but they're going to be making sure that if something does happen, they can respond or call the police. They're not going to be doing a huge amount, to be brutally honest. They're really going to be more of a deterrent for people seeing. If they see somebody, say, having a bonfire on the beach, they could, ask them not to. If they see somebody diving off the pier, they can ask them not to, but they're not going to be there, handcuffing people or writing tickets or anything like that. They're really going to be,
Cleaning the bathrooms,
Yeah,
emptying garbage.
those
cutting
types
up
of-
showers.
It sounds to me like it's more of a visual deterrent for nefarious activity
Right.
yes.
than an actual, than a security
Keeping
guard.
clean.
Yeah.
Have we talked to the other villages, the park districts where they have the ambassadors to find out how effective do they see a benefit?
Not really.
Not really. I think it's the enforcement part is hard. That's what they struggle with, they said. That doesn't mean they're taking it away. I will say that we know that Winnetka, they had hired overnight, they'd hired security until 2 a.m. They're removing that because they just weren't getting the expense was 30,000 for the summer and they didn't get a huge benefit from it.
I'd be curious to know from the other beaches. Again, I have like a running assumption in my head and I'm pressure testing it. What issues prompted them to have an ambassador, particularly one going to midnight or 1:30 in the morning?
I think some of the issues we're talking about tonight, people using the beach after hours, complaints about drinking or smoking.
Mhm.
Some other communities have had some after hours drownings based on their facilities. I can't talk too much about that, but I know that there was some communities that added that because there was people using the beach
But
afterwards.
they did not have lifeguards.
They did not,
They just had
correct.
background so that someone would call 911. I suppose.
Correct.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So should we think of a security guard the same as an ambassador in terms of effectiveness, or that one is actual security?
What I think is security guard is actually going to be less helpful, to be honest with you. I think a
I'm
park
not saying I think
ambassador
it's a
will,
good idea,
because a park ambassador would be our employee.
Okay.
I think you have more control over that. I
Oh.
think a lot of them struggle with those external security companies and they're very expensive.
Yeah.
So-
And they don't really have authority to do anything. Right? So
Correct.
they're just really there in a uniform, picking those,
actually-
but they're not picking up garbage. They're not shutting off,
I see.
showers that we've had complaints. They're not,
Yeah.
doing the garbage. What they are doing is going to someone drinking, which our parking basket can do the same thing. And we can call public safety if they don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That type of thing. If they see something like that. So
Gilson was one of the ones that went from an outside security a couple years ago and brought it internal. And they felt it was much more successful, but still the same challenges, crowd control, the nefarious activities that were going on down there. So
Definitely creates a different vibe.
Yeah.
to-
for sure.
And in each of those instances, are those costs all covered by the park districts, or has there
Yeah.
ever been any discussion of collaboration, just given the impact that some of the issues or complaints might have on the village?
it's all covered by the park districts. We all operate the beaches separate from the villages. So it's all covered by the park district. When you do an ambassador, it's our job to enforce the rules and they're just there for, I guess, really egregious things.
And we
Mac,
don't
are you
think that there
thinking-
could be an opportunity to pair budget-wise and communication-wise more if we did have an ambassador with the public safety?
Well, we would do that, but public safety, again, they have there's only so many public safety they have. So what our park ambassador, if there's something they couldn't handle, would call public safety to come down.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
definitely.
that's
But
what would
there's no
happen.
budget potential for sharing, just.
So you're thinking of
I
a.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
no, it's our operations and
Okay.
they, they've actually, don't charge us for public safety as it is. So no, I don't think there'd be any cost sharing to that.
I mean, are we seeing a big uptick from a few years ago? That this has become a big subject, or is there something we're more
You know
strict
what? I
on?
think there's an uptick and we're going to talk about after season later on, but this after hours, no, there's probably no more uptick than in the past. Just more noticeable, maybe new neighbors, things like that. But we see the after hour usage is probably the same as it's always been
I think
for years. Now,
Yeah.
after season hours, after
Right.
Labor Day, absolutely, we've seen more because the weather has been a lot
Right.
nicer the last
Yeah.
2 years, and we'll talk about that more. But for in season, probably the after usage hours usage is about the same as it always is.
Yeah, I tend to, as a sample size of one, I tend to go to the beach later on because I
Yeah.
work a little bit later. I have not seen an increase in after hours. There's always
Same.
a handful of people there. What I think has happened this year, I think Lisa hit the nail on the head. I think the after season effect has made the
Uh-oh.
community look with a microscope at
More
sort of
weird.
Okay.
everything
That
and
makes
start to
sense.
question, which is not the wrong thing to do. They should.
Right.
And that's where that came up. But to me, the after hours is a little bit less of a challenge than it was the after season, given just the
No,
really
I know about that.
this
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
And in all transparency, before the pandemic, our hours were till 8
Eight,
p.m.
yeah.
And after the pandemic, we rolled it back to 7 because of the escalating costs and staffing. That's why we did.
Okay.
So,
That's right, when
you know,
the whatchamacallit, the
Minimum wage.
minimum wage was coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
We made that
yeah.
conscious
Yeah,
discussion with the
with
board.
the board's approval, made that because of the,
It was expensive. I mean,
was
it's
very
not,
expensive.
Yeah,
It's
I'd
not
still
cheap.
be interested in potentially I saw the cost
Yeah.
in thinking about the 8 PM.
Mhm.
yeah, I think everything's on the table.
Right, yeah,
There's nothing that we're taking.
Everything's
Yeah.
doable.
yeah.
To put this in perspective,
This
just to
one
make
I
sure.
don't- Yeah.
What we asked the board, the board asked last time we all met
Yeah.
was, hey, you, Bobby, you, John, you, Bobby, take all these concepts, crunch some numbers and present them to us so we can make
Right.
good decisions on them. And I think that's where we are here. We're not, I don't think you're advocating one thing or the other. I think you're
Yeah.
presenting the data just as we asked for.
So just given those models, obviously you can see the cost there for that one. We did have some questions for the board. So just related to this in-season operating hour, does the board want to extend hours of operations in season? So that would be
That's
Memorial
right.
Day to Labor Day. And if yes, until when? So we go till 7
from
o'clock.
10 to 8.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to, is it possible for us to hear all of the things that are out there and then make a decision
Yeah.
about what we want to do? Because I think we want to do
Yeah,
something.
Like I'm open to extending
Yeah.
10 to 8, but I don't, like he said, like maybe if
Maybe it's
the
better-
ambassador thing, like, or if there's other options, but I don't want to take that extent. If we don't do anything else, I would personally recommend we go back to the pre-COVID 8 PM, keeping it at 10. I don't think there's a big issue at 9, before 10. But again, yeah, I think it's best that we look at all the.
Yeah,
options.
I think we should look at the options rather than
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
one by one.
Yeah.
Instead,
We can go back to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This one seems to be kind of in the easier.
Okay, so
Okay.
just keep this in your mind.
Yeah.
So these are the questions. Does the board want to extend it for the hours? Does the board want to add beach ambassadors after regular operating hours?
Yep.
So keep that in mind and we'll come back to that question.
okay, we're on to number 2. I'm gonna have Adam step up for the next one.
Thanks, Bobby. So now we're looking at the daily admission and season pass model. So again, framework, we talked about this in the lakefront report that Shannon did. So use of public parks and beaches, what law says, according to Illinois Human Rights Act, is that public beaches are public accommodations. You can't deny access in a way that is discriminatory or unfair. Under U.S. Constitution, equal protection. Cities can charge non-residents more, but cannot ban them from a public beach. But what we can do as park districts, charge reasonable higher non-resident fees. We can require beach passes. We can use capacity limits for safety, which we'll jump into some of that as well in this section. And then what we can't do is completely prohibit non-residents. We can't make them residents only. So another framework, categories of service that we have in place, you guys had approved back in September, was that non-residents will pay 100% more for both season passes and daily admissions. So as we jump into the next slide, it'll kind of show you what that looks like. So our current model, Glencoe beach passes, residents pay $38, non-residents 76, so that's that 100% more. Guest passes are $50 for 10 visits, residents, non-residents is $100. Daily admission is 12 and 24. Daily admission is only available Monday through Friday after 12 p.m. So we require passes before 12, Monday through Friday, and on weekends and holidays. Looking at survey results, bear in mind the survey results. Some of the survey results we have in here are just towards our season pass holders. So it is obviously the view of the pass holders. So as far as the rate, the value in relation to fees for season passes, 3.9 rating this year compared to 4.2 and 4.1 last year. So it's still relatively close to, as far as value goes.
But they have gone up. The prices have gone up and the survey has gone,
By 2.2.
which is not unsurprising when you raise prices.
Correct, correct. So as a comparison, I won't dive too deep in here, but you can see obviously the daily admission models for the neighboring districts at Highland Park, Winnetka, Wilmette, City of Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. Obviously different operations across the board. Some are free to residents, some charge for non-residents. But once you also couple some of that with parking restrictions and so forth, that obviously escalates costs for non-residents as well. And then season passes, those also vary. As you can see, some kind of adopt that first person model with additional lower rates. And then again, depending on the location, the parking may escalate that quite a bit as well.
I have a question.
Yep.
So Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, I'm not proposing we do this at all. I'm just curious, how do they swing their, like, do we know any detail? Like, are they in the red? Are they, do they have higher taxes?
Lake
They're
Forest is
definitely-
unique.
They're definitely in the red.
Okay.
Without a doubt, they have made the choice to subsidize that
Okay.
and by doing so, give up other things.
Okay.
So they're, when you subsidize one thing, you're giving up
Mhm.
probably a playground every year. If we had to subsidize our beach, that's what we'd have to do. So
Yeah, about 120,000 in revenue from residents between passes, gas passes.
Daily admission.
So if you were to say residents, it's cost, it would cost the district about 120 and lost revenue.
yeah, and but I do not know what their tax percentage the Park District is
Yeah.
for Lake Forest or Lake Bluff. Ours is, 7%. Theirs could be higher.
Yeah.
And that's why they're able to do that.
And Lake Forest is a very different operation.
Yes.
It's large, they've got cranes, they've got thing, not boats in it, but they've got like a storage for boats, a large sailing program.
It's city,
Charge for the.
City.
city, not a Park District. Yeah.
Parking, I don't know if you saw. in the
Oh, it's
park.
a city. It's not a park district.
City of Lake
Yeah.
Forest is,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I
Bluff
thought-
is Park District, City of Lake Forest is not. It's a rec department.
Okay,
So kind of
Lake
like
Forest
Evanston.
is
A city.
city. Lake Bluff is park district.
Park District.
Usually with
I
a little
mean,
higher
I think
taxes.
a big difference and where I'd be very careful comparing to Lake Forest is
Yeah.
they just have a larger population, I believe.
Exactly.
30,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's like
exactly. Those are
3
things.
times more
yeah.
than us with a different beach front,
Absolutely.
different real estate makeup. If I'm not mistaken, they don't have a bluff. So like, it's just
Exactly.
different.
Yes.
Totally
I would
different.
say that across the board, these are not apples to apples.
No.
They're apples to oranges to bananas.
Mhm.
They are
Yeah.
totally different operations just because of topography, parking,
Yes.
everything. So it's hard to totally compare.
The only
Right,
one,
Jackie.
the one I think would be a fair comparable maybe is Winnetka.
Mhm.
Because they're dealing with similar parking and bluff constraints. Wilmette has similar parking issues, but again, it's just very different.
Mhm. Bigger town. Wilmette's bigger.
That's right. Wilmette and Highland Park are also much bigger.
Really interesting. I didn't realize that Winnetka bifurcated the daily pass on the weekdays versus weekends, which is something
Mhm.
that,
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, which is
interesting.
very interesting.
Starting next year.
okay, because I was like, that is, I
Yeah,
have,
starting next year. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys know, for 6 years, I've asked to revenue manage and I keep getting the Heisman from other board members. But I think I don't think it's a bad way to go. And I'm glad to see so one community is at least
And they're adopting the pass model like ours, where it's level across to all.
family, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that next year, 2026. They're going to make it the
Their
same as
focus
us.
is on revenue generation for next.
Right. And that's what you get when you have,
Correct.
when you charge non-residents on the weekends, that's what you get. You also end up, just to put this out there, if you have a weekend rate of $15 for residents and they're not going to get the season pass,
Right.
and they're going to show up and spend a longer time. So there's a lot of pluses and minuses in it. But it looks like they're in the same camp that we're in with the, probably with the OSLAD, but the 2X for non-residents as being considered reasonable, avoiding lawsuits, avoiding challenges.
Yeah, 100% is considered,
Reasonable. That's the
Reasonable,
definition.
yes.
That's
that's a
the
standard.
lawyers.
Says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what this is telling me, like, and again, maybe I'm not looking at the data correctly. If I look at Winnetka's comparable, we have an opportunity from a revenue generation standpoint to cover some of the cost in the season passes more so than anywhere else. You can make changes to the daily. We could even introduce changes to allow more daily non-residents, or have a different daily. But when I look at season passes, that to me is where like there potentially would be an opportunity to increase revenue if we wanted to. I'm not sure if I
Yeah.
want to.
And I
Increase
think-
revenue and
Okay.
decrease satisfaction, because every time that you raise season passes, and while it may be affordable for the people in this room to spend $38 per resident,
Right,
there are plenty of people where the price is a really impactful.
100%.
The one thing I think we should think about as far as if we do, looking ahead, if we do want to do some type of option where we extend the season, or let's say we extend through September, this is just, we extend through September 1st, and on the weekends, it's season beach pass holders only. And then we increase the season beach pass rate. They would be getting a more relaxing experience when it's 80 degrees in September. Just think, I mean,
No, that's right.
just thinking
yeah,
ahead,
yeah.
if
Yes.
there's,
Or they may not
they may
purchase
get
the
more
pass
benefit. Or
because it's too expensive,
That's
right?
true.
It-
No,
it-
there's-
And they
the-
may
yeah.
shift to the daily because
it's the- yeah.
there's
they
a
may
tip,
get more if
yeah.
we change the shoulder
Certainly.
season.
the model that I've got running in my head is that there is some sort of a tipping point that must occur between the decision that one makes between season passes versus daily.
Correct, yes.
And like, I don't know what the tipping point is, but whatever it is, the moment you increase season passes or we make drastic changes, like let's say we go to the Winnetka model, I would imagine that we're going to see a drop in season passes.
You will see a drop in season passes, and what you will probably see is, and we don't control parking, as you know. I think
Right.
the city is. You put a weekend rate out there of 15 and 30, you are exacerbating a parking problem,
Makes
right?
sense.
Because you're
Totally
going
makes
to have
sense.
more
Right.
people
Yeah.
come in
Right. Right. Right.
outside.
Right.
So what?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so these
So
are,
that's,
and I'm glad that you guys are seeing all of this because a lot of work, a lot of discussion, and we should rehash it here now, has gone into it because this is not an easy one to solve.
right.
We have some
Maybe
more.
staying over an hour extra is an easy one to solve, but the whole model is not.
I think we see that, if I'm not mistaken, and they have to be able to come 3 times to feel like
Yep.
it's worth it.
Mhm.
To the beach a summer. That's the
Right.
average. If you get a season pass, you go 3 times summer. It's crazy. You think you go more, you think you go once a week, but the average is 3 times. So when people are evaluating whether I should do a daily or season pass, will my season pass pay off in 3 visits?
But you think about your friend and my friend, Mr. Zorb, and the Six Flags season pass, right? We'll go to Six Flags. I don't know if you guys have a Six Flags season pass.
Oh, yes. I have those season passes.
We'll go to Six Flags for a couple hours when it's not too crowded
That's right.
and go 5 times when it's not too crowded for a couple
Yeah.
hours versus those that don't have the season pass and they go
Right.
for that one day and they're there from 8.
Yes. So
So
my,
it'll
child-
still-
my, child-
Right. And this is the math that
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everyone, a lot of people do in their head.
Yeah.
no, that is absolutely the math.
Price of a
Yeah.
movie ticket also you should consider, Lisa always says it, like, how are we compared to the price of a movie ticket? Like,
Yeah.
an
Yes.
afternoon to do something.
Yeah.
Is the going to the movie more expensive than going to the beach? Now you
Yeah.
Right.
look-
That's a
That's a
good
good
point.
comparison.
Like
Yeah.
their alternative, is it Great America? Is it a movie? Is
Yeah,
it
that's a good comparison.
giving my daughter a ton of money to go to the mall because I need her out of my hair? Like,
Right.
Yeah,
The cost for 3 hours in the afternoon or whatever it is.
Right.
Yes, entertainment.
Right, we have a lot more information data for you too. So this is that the original chart that Bobby had showed you shows that in obviously a chart form. It shows that inversion. So you can see pre-COVID, all the blue with our daily admission revenue, post-COVID, all the orange, what really dominated obviously where our revenue was coming. So obviously the risk is if you go to that model, you're going to be depending on having more people come to the beach, which, could increase our revenue, but also to some of the points commissioners is that there is going to be there longer. There could be more obviously usage of the facility requiring potentially additional expenses too.
And it is very weather related daily.
Very weather.
Very weather. Season passes, remember, if we get that money up front, it affects us the next year whether people buy them. If we get up front, it's less reliant on the weather.
So some more just regurgitating some data. So obviously over the last 4 years, you can see we're pretty stagnant, about 275 on average the last 4 years. In revenue for passes sold on average around 6,000 passes each year. As far as pass revenue, it just shows a breakdown of where our pass revenues come over the last 4 years. So obviously about 92,000 of that this year was from Glencoe residents. Obviously it's kind of been on a downward trend, probably to the people not feeling like they're quite getting their value out of their beach passes often anymore.
I have a question. What's guest?
If you have a pass, you can add on. I have a season pass.
Yep.
If my daughter wants to bring friends, you can get a 10-pack or a 5-pack.
Gotcha.
We do see more and more people doing that. They'll buy, maybe
Yeah.
some of the family a season pass, but then for dad or grandparents, they'll buy the guest passes.
Yep.
Or we see on the weekends, if people are smart, they come They
Yeah.
buy one season pass and then buy 10 guest
Yeah.
pass to get the rest of the family.
Ah,
for the one visit.
Oh,
Pretty clever.
Figure that out.
Yeah, they're figuring it out. So, which is, we're getting at least one season pass and then the guest
Yeah.
passes.
We
Or
have
so that they go on,
Yeah.
on the weekend. So,
You have it like 3 or 4 years. People eventually start figuring out all the loopholes and things.
Yeah.
that make them-
There's a
we're okay
lovely,
with that, right? I
we're
mean,
okay with that.
that's-
They're buying a season
They're
pass.
buying
It's still
the
limited.
dailies too,
They're
and-
there. It
yeah.
gives, it actually gives a chance for family that comes, non-residents, if they come and they're like, oh, I traveled 45 minutes. Well, if you buy one pass and guest pass, they figure it out and then they
Right,
enjoy the
right.
day. And then hopefully they come back.
And we,
Again.
and we do train the staff to know that, to tell them when they like come from a ways away, we're like, hey, give them this option because
Yeah.
it's an economical way instead of buying 8 season passes to non-resident.
but I also would think that depending on the demographics, particularly in Glencoe, like if you're a family where your kids are almost out of the house, you're not going to buy a family pass. So you buy the one pass, get the 10 because your kids.
Yeah, because you can come
When
once or
you-
twice.
yeah.
There's some that come
Exactly.
all the time.
Exactly.
And then
I mean, there's no perfect model.
there's no
That's right.
perfect model.
There's no-
B,
yeah.
There's
and
no
I can give you
perfect
guys a great book on this. There is a loophole for everything. There, not only is there a loophole, every single piece of software, every single piece of technology, every single rule out there, there is going to be someone that can hack it.
The United loophole.
There's tons of hacks. There are, we,
Global
we are well aware of, I mean, we're well aware of all the hacks. We can't, no one can stop them. No one can stop them all. There's going to be someone that finds it. But I think the key is for us to think about how do we optimize this for all of the residents? And again, remember, all of us are kind of the same ages, same demographic here. We all have kids in high school, middle school, some in elementary school. We have to think about the 50-year-old, the 60-year-old, the 30-year-old, the people, little kids, people with no kids. And so you asked the right question as we think about this policy. The resident thing, as you can see from COVID, it's come down. But also we have an aging population.
We do. I mean, like I thought to myself, is there a senior citizen discount?
Yeah.
I hate to
So
say.
it's
Well,
free.
they get
They're free.
my
Oh, they're
kids
free.
get their
Okay.
passes
Yeah,
for
it's
free.
free.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
It's
tend,
$25.
They love it. They
Yeah.
get their passes
and they
every
tend
day.
And
Yes,
we actually
see-
love that because they get it free and then their grandkids come into town and they buy the guest passes.
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're able to go when their grandkids are, and so we get revenue for their grandkids, but
Yeah.
they've been paying taxes for a long time. We think that's fair. So,
it's the same thing. They get discounted property tax. They have no fixed
same,
income.
and
So
Weinberg also, so.
there's also for people who are economically disadvantaged or challenged, some of the local libraries have a pass in some of the surrounding communities,
Yeah.
especially those that are not as well
Yeah.
fortunate as ours. And they can go there and they can get a free pass too.
And they're
Okay.
well used. data.
Yeah.
They are,
Like,
yeah.
which is great,
they're
right?
being
No, it
used
is
for
good.
People that
It
really
should
can't
happen.
afford to come. And so that was a great way to be for social equity, which
Yeah.
the board felt very strongly about. So we're
felt
able to
very
get people
strongly
that can't
about that.
afford it and come in for
I
a
like it,
visit every
yeah.
summer.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I hope we continue that because I like the fact that we can still crowd control with that because
Yeah.
we know the number of passes. And so I think it's
Exactly.
actually
Exactly.
Yes,
no mine is
exactly.
perfect, but it's pretty darn.
It's
close.
it's a good one. Okay, so keep going
Yeah,
here.
as far as daily admission goes, you can see it stayed relatively steady as well with a slight uptick over the last 2 years. Non-residents, really that jump is what we went from 20 to 24. It's really a larger jump there, but the amount of visitors is relatively the same. And looking at annual attendance, so you can see, like I said, we stay pretty stagnant on the total number of non-resident daily visits, around 2,500 residents paying that daily admission is around 1,000. Non-residents, 8,000, and resident pass visits, 10,000.
It was not the hottest of summers this summer.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In September, it was really warm.
Right, but like,
And
Yeah,
we
but
don't-
not
we don't
June.
Track, so that's why we don't track in the off season, so we don't know.
right, this is just the
Yeah.
This
season.
is only in season. We can't,
Yeah.
there's no way to track in the off season. No, you're right.
And then looking at average visits by weekday, since our model does require a season pass before noon, as you can see on a weekday, we average about 25 people per hour on coming through with the season pass. So it's not a ton of people coming before noon with a season pass. Just some more data to look at as far as that model goes. And then this graph is showing the number of days per 100 visit range. So we had 17 days. So our season's about 95 to 100 days. So we had 17 days with less than 100 people visiting the beach, 20 visiting about 100 to 200 people. And then on the flip side, you're looking at about 11 days, 12 days with over 500 people visiting the day. And this is again over a 9-hour period of 500 plus people visiting the beach. So it's really broken down. It might be 80 to 100 people coming through every hour.
So if we're talking about 80 days, 80 to 100 days of which, so you're talking about 10 to 15% of the time over the summer where we would have large crowds.
And 8 out of the 10 days of over 500 were on weekends. There's only 2 days that were on a
Makes
weekday.
sense, right?
Yeah. So bulk
But
of
again,
that
this
is
Just when we're tracking from 10 to 7.
correct.
These are our operating hours.
Yeah.
Everything we're
Yeah.
presenting is operating hours.
Yeah.
Scanned in passes,
Yeah.
purchase passes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, even if it's non-operating, and I've been like Michael, I go to the beach actually in the evening quite a bit. I'm not seeing that we would ever hit like over 200.
No, I mean, like, unless it's
At
a
night,
a
that's right.
spectacularly
Right, correct.
beautiful day.
Yeah.
But
Now,
like,
in-
remember,
in
On a
September,
weekend,
we
on a
get
weekend is
1,000.
different.
but not
yeah.
after
Yeah,
7 p.m.
weekend might be
I don't
different,
know.
but
In September and the
And-
weekends all day, but after hours on a weekday during season, or even actually out of season, weekday after hours, after say 7 o'clock, yeah, you don't see. more
you
than
won't see
200.
much.
You know, and you know, it's dinner time. People, little kids are
Right.
getting them to bed. People go, adults go out to dinner on Saturdays and Sundays, and the weekdays you're weird. So people don't plan like on a Tuesday, hey, let's go to the beach after hours. Not a significant number of people do
Right.
that because they're going to the movies or the concerts or the dinners with their friends, the parties.
I mean,
So you just don't have that volume. I think you probably have it between 7 and 8.
right. And the reason I'm asking the question is as we think about ambassadors, it's like who's really down there that we're willing to incur the incremental cost?
Yeah.
That's
Well, what problem are we solving? for?
Exactly.
And the
Is
question
there a
is,
problem?
to me, and this is why I want to solve, I want to think about everything at one, and kind of package it. I think the concept of an ambassador, to me, the bang for your buck may be post-season rather than evening.
Yeah.
And that's something to think about.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Weekday, a weekend.
A
day.
weekend or
Right.
full season, yeah, or
Weekend, yeah.
Saturdays.
Weekend, or a
Yeah.
weekend or post-season, that may be.
Yes, might be
No.
more, that's what we
I
see.
think we really want to focus on bang for buck with this because it's going to be our
Right.
buck.
Yeah, I mean, that's, well, it's not
And-
our buck, it's our taxpayers.
Yeah, no,
bucks,
yeah.
right?
Well, it's the part, like she
it's a
said, it'll
benefit.
come at the expense of something else. And so we want to make sure we're really
Yeah.
just focusing.
Yep.
Where we
Yeah.
need to.
So next slide shows you, this is our usable beach space. So I did kind of do it based on what the new footprint will be. So our usable beach space is 56,000 square feet. But as we know, most people aren't going to use the bulk of that beach because it's where the volleyball nets are, or it's kind of near the playground area. You're going to want to set up shop closer to the water. So looking at the next slide, what the really premium beach space where people are actually sitting and using is about 30,000 square feet of really premium where you're going to sit, enjoy when you come with your family or your friends. So looking at capacity by density level, this is just to give some kind of information. So looking at a high density crowd at 50 square foot per person, it's about 619 would be our capacity just for that 30,000 square foot stretch. Typical beach use is 75 square foot per person, which allows kind of obviously movement, still busy, but allows towels and so forth. Would be about 412 people in that space. Comfortable family beach standard would be 100 square foot per person or 10 by 10 section. It's common for a lot of suburban lakefronts for family setups. There's about 300 people in that section, and then low density premium comfort is 150 square feet and would be about 200 people. Which again, looking at really back to that previous slide, we're not really ever seeing ourselves even at that probably 200 person, except for on those 90 degree days on a Saturday or Sunday where you're actually seeing that high.
At the same time.
Generous
Yeah.
of personal space. So think about 10 by 10. It's the size of one of those pop-up tents for one person. Like that's, you could fit family of 5 under that.
Mhm.
My
in
son's
that 10 by
bedroom is less
It's
than
bigger
10
than
by
my college dorm.
Yeah,
I have
exactly. Exactly. We're being very generous with
Yeah.
our what is capacity. So
I mean, we do not have to go through this in detail, in my opinion. Like, we have not yet hit a place where it's so crowded that people can't find a spot.
exactly.
Now they're
That's good.
perceived, yes, it's more crowded today than yesterday. Yes, it's more crowded on 90-degree days than on 60, fine. But I also think people understand that.
And I didn't see a lot of complaints or didn't hear a lot of complaints about operating hours either. So as far as density goes.
Well, we
Yeah.
did see, some people say it's too crowded.
Yeah.
We, even in the off season, even on the busiest Saturday that we kind of just, we didn't
Yeah.
have exact counts, but look, maybe there was
Yeah,
800,
so-
1,000.
So from the past holder survey,
Yeah.
over 80% of the people said that they were satisfied with the number
Yeah.
of people.
So
visiting
this is
the
during the operating hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think the density's
Even,
well
even,
managed.
even on that one Saturday after hours, even with that, say there was a total of 1,000 people on the beach all day, like, cause they come and go, we're still not at that uncomfortable
Yeah.
capacity. So even on those busiest days, we're not at capacity even in then. But people's perceptions are different, so.
We also asked on the surveys, you probably saw we're currently assessing options for next season, select the best option. The pass holders obviously said 60%, almost 60% want to keep the maintain the current model. Obviously another 26 would like it to be all during all operating hours, and then 13 were kind of in the mixed or other. We also just wanted to show from our comprehensive plans community survey, really the red part, to kind of highlight the non-pass holders, since our survey goes to pass holders. As you can see, still overwhelmingly 67% support maintaining the same model. And which option do they support most? Again, you're looking at 47% saying they want to continue current policy. 37% obviously are open to all. So now we're open kind of to the board discussion portion of, what model do we want to move forward with? Is it maintain current model, looking at different dynamic pricing, limited daily admission examples, maybe after certain hours, limited capacity, weekday versus weekends, dynamic pricing, or even go full, daily and passes 7 days a week.
If we want to keep on moving, and just, these are the questions that you're going to consider at the end, so.
Okay, up next, the Northbrook Agreement. So this is an agreement we have at Northbrook Park District where Glencoe residents get resident rates at Northbrook's 2 outdoor pools. They also get resident rates at the aquatics programs they have, and then resident rates at their dog park, which is just off of Dundee, about 4 miles from where we are right now. In return, Northbrook residents get resident rates at Glencoe Beach for season passes only. So it doesn't apply to the daily fee. It just applies to the season pass. Sure.
If they do the season pass at the resident rate, do they also get the guest pass at the resident rate? Okay.
They do. Great question. So here's just the data for the last 3 years. We highlighted in red just the number of visits and the revenue generated. So Northbrook residents, the Glencoe Park District generated just under $50,000 in revenue from passes from Northbrook residents. And we had about 1,700 visits. So when you look at that revenue per visit, we generated about $28.50 per visit, which is a very high number compared to some of our others. When you look at Glencoe residents visiting Northbrook pools, they generated just over $11,000, had just over 950 visits, and those average visit costs for our residents were $11.06. So it's just a good metric we use to evaluate the revenue. They are 30,000 people, we're 8,600 people. So it's going to be skewed, and there's been, as I've been here 10 years, every year we've had lots of discussions about the Northbrook Agreement. So there's a lot of benefits for our residents that we hear, and a lot of benefits from Northbrook. So our question for the board to keep in their back of their mind is, does the board still want to continue with the Northbrook Agreement?
So this one, I think we probably can talk about now because it's not about admission. I'll tell you, I think this is one that benefits, when you think about 900 visits to Northbrook facilities, we do not have a pool. You are
And we do not have a dog park.
And we do not have a dog park. You are going to be questioned, the 4 of you, from all your friends and family and neighbors and whoever, kids, school, teacher, parents. Why don't we have one? Why don't we have one? They are expensive to maintain for the pool.
Yes.
In the dog park, we have no space. This gives us the option to have our residents use it at an affordable rate. And we don't have to maintain it. The beach we're maintaining anyway. It's a mostly fixed cost model. So to me, this is a no-brainer.
Agree.
But we have a new board, so I want to put that out
No,
there.
I agree. Pools, I will not throw the number out, but I know they're talking about at one of our high schools about replacing the pool.
Mhm.
That number is staggering.
It's staggering.
Oh,
It
we
is
will never, I do not
staggering.
want a pool, but it's just the cost of maintaining it for
It's-
districts can eat up the budget.
It's so
building
much.
We're,
So-
Building, maintaining, and staffing it.
So this is
And
one
then
of those
nothing.
things
Where do
that's
we
a
put a
win-win.
pool?
But it's certainly up for discussion.
What's the counter argument? Is it?
The counter argument is that the counter argument is that you would get that some people have thought, well, for the 1,000 people in Northbrook that buy a pass
Yeah.
at half the rate, you would get 501 that would buy at twice the rate. And so you're losing revenue. To me, it's the optics of giving our members, giving
The
our
job of the
community-
park district is to offer as much as you can to the residents, and so
Right.
that's what you're doing. So
But there
it's a
have been-
no-brainer. I think we're all on the same page right
There
here.
have been
agree.
a lot of different thoughts.
I
on
second
it,
my
Bobby has
motion.
mentioned. but-
Okay, go.
I think the dog park is also increasing in popularity or, I think I'm happy with where
Yeah.
we are.
That's what because they have 30,000 residents, we have, that's why we negotiate in the dog park and the swim lessons and the daily
Yeah.
resident rates.
No, I
And
think
we
keep
only
it.
gave them the passes.
Yeah.
So It's definitely
And
fair,
it's a-
fair exchange.
It's a win.
there are some nice things
Yeah.
about the pool as well. We do our lifeguard training in the pool.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
That's another one. We
and
wouldn't have a
so,
place to do
Yeah,
that.
so we do that. That's a great place for us to do it. We have to do lifeguard
Mm-hmm.
training. It's a little bit easier there. So I think this is a no-brainer.
This is a no-brainer.
Sounds like
Former.
All right.
Okay, so that's easy
So
one.
be it.
Okay,
So we,
Great.
second.
Up next, the swim zone discussion.
All right. So every year we get comments in our survey about the size of our swim zone. Why can't we expand it? How can we get bigger? So we wanted to obviously bring some information to the board here. So if you can see on the picture here, from the pier to the jetty, it's about 560 feet. So just to give you kind of an idea of the shoreline space that we currently have. What our current setup is you can see we have a 20 by 50 foot swim zone area in the green, and the red is no swimming allowed. Reason that's no swimming allowed is obviously it's very dangerous to swim along piers with currents. Obviously, people running into that. Some common sense around that. And then in the yellow, you have that boater launch area. So obviously, there's a lot of challenges around boater launch. If anybody has a sailboat, you know how you approach the beach, how you launch off the beach, angles you may have to take to come in and off are obviously challenges. And we can come back to this image, but I'll continue forward. So like I said, our swim zone is about 200 feet by 50 feet. We currently have 3 lifeguards on duty during operational hours. Excuse me. Swim zone requirements. So all of our lifeguards must meet a 30-second standard. So what that means is they need to be able to effectively scan the zone. So our 200 by 50 foot is technically considered one zone. They need to be able to effectively scan the whole zone in 10 seconds and be able to identify, you know, maybe somebody that's drowning or having challenges, and then be able to get to the furthest point in that zone within 20 seconds. So that's an industry standard for any aquatic facility, whether a beach or not. And we need to validate that all the lifeguards can actually do that. So before you can actually go in the stand, Shannon will actually have lifeguards get down from this, you know, and time them and how far they can get out to that furthest point. Very important. So again, in our pass holder survey, this is a question. I find the zone to be seldomly busy on weekdays, busy every weekend, sometimes busy on weekends or busy all the time. A little bit of mixed bag, but largely it doesn't look like people feel like it's overwhelmingly busy. 48% says sometimes it's busy on weekend, with 24% saying it's busy every weekend. So looking at the operational and financial impact of if we did want to expand the swim zone, it would require us to increase to 4 lifeguards on every shift. It does narrow that boater launch area for sailboats, kayaks, and paddleboards. There's also an increased risk of those sailboats, kayaks, paddleboards coming into the swim zone, which obviously is a major safety hazard. It's a big concern of ours, especially with lake conditions and how easily you could run into it. We do a lot of rentals. People that aren't as familiar with being on the water are definitely going to be more susceptible to coming into that as well. So looking at the financial impacts, again, same assumptions that we used before, the 100 days with approximately 80 will remain open due to early closures. The cost would be roughly $14,000 to $15,000 depending on.
This one could be, I think the cost is fixed. I imagine that you looked at doubling the size of the swim zone and not necessarily 50% greater swim zone, because you were thinking about, you know, how do we get that? What, I guess my honest question, what
Yeah.
size swim zone is this, assume?
It's based on the 200 feet. So every 200 feet, you need to have at least one lifeguard.
But you could expand,
Yeah, maybe that's
you could
math.
expand it, instead of the current swim area is 200 by 50. You could expand this to 300 by 50,
Or
not
still
400 by 50. You still need the,
You still need that
Right,
third.
right,
yeah.
so, but I'm
If
trying
you
to
go
mitigate,
201, you need another.
You need to have second lifeguard.
mitigate you could, you could expand it a little bit out there. You'd still need a 2. You don't get your bang for your buck, as we were
Yeah.
talking about, but you could mitigate this.
Based on that, it's about 70 feet. You could
Yeah.
take that 70 feet right up to the boat. And it would cost you that extra 1 life's worth of protein.
Why is the red the red?
It's along the pier. So
Like
it's
the
rocky, it's along the pier.
Happen around most currents.
Most currents.
Got it. There's dangerous issues.
I think if we expanded it, maybe I'm wrong, but it might even incent people to be closer to other parts where kids can swim. Because we often congregate like in the little swim area. So when we think about the real estate discussion that we were having of 31,000 square feet, it's never really crowded. But when you look at it, when you are a visitor with little kids, you all want to go to the little swim area.
You're all in that 200.
Exactly.
You're on that
You
200.
expand
area.
it,
That's true.
then you might be spreading out the people, so it's not all congested in that little swim area.
That's a good
Yeah,
consideration.
and you push it to 250 by 50 effectively.
Correct. So yeah, it might cost us more because we have the third lifeguard, but it might improve the sense that it's crowded because
Yeah.
we're giving more space to the families, especially, I'm speaking for mine because my kids always got in trouble because they were never in that space.
And I'm hearing you guys say that there's a safety issue though, too. It's not just a cost consideration.
Yeah, because if you're down there on a busy, good sailing day, you're gonna have,
Yeah.
10 paddle boards, 10 sailboats, all lined up on that side trying to get in and out, which is a concern.
Mhm.
I would say the voters, if you ask the voters what the hottest topic they most care about is that there's too many people near their the voting launch area, and the safety concerns with people coming out of the swim area, or in September especially, like they call them coconuts, the heads bobbing on the water, that they're worried. It is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we hear in the survey, the lifeguards are too loud and they make too many announcements, but we hear constantly pulling people from like what they're not meant to do. And so just bear in mind that we can absolutely put it right up to it. It will create some safety concerns.
And this is where we come in, and these are the things that we as the board see that the public doesn't always see.
I don't know if I would be like, I don't know if I would want to extend it so that the two touch.
But is it worth it to extend it by 25 feet for $15,000? That's sort of the, this goes
that's
back
what
to
you're talking
the
about.
bang, this goes to
Think
the
about
bang
all
for the buck. Yeah.
costs.
Not necessarily gonna have more swimmers in the swim zone either. The Baylor load's gonna maintain the same likely.
Maybe 50 to 100 feet. I don't know. I don't know. What's the dimension of that little open space where
Looks
my
like it's about
kids
50.
always got into trouble?
They're 10 each one, so kind of 7 of them.
Oh, I see.
So that swim area is about 10,000
Oh.
square feet, 50. Yep. Part of the challenge is like the full swim area. You're not, some people are on the edge, but really if you're swimming, you're gonna have to go out to where it gets deep, so you don't have the necessarily use of it.
Yeah.
Has this swim area been the same for years and years and years?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Derma standard
With
is
less
you need
people,
at
by
least,
the way,
yeah.
now.
That's
Less
right.
people now than
Yeah.
there
Yes,
was
with less
in
people.
COVID.
Yeah.
I
Same,
looked at the Yelp reviews
Yeah.
for
Same
Glencoe
swim
Beach
area.
before COVID, and some people, they were like, we were shoulder to shoulder, like, so it's definitely less dense now.
So it's really only
No.
50 feet is what we're talking about.
I forgot Yelp was even.
How does this compare to other?
Okay, so this is something that.
Okay.
We'll
Wait,
think
we
about
have
Got
a
it.
question.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
a
I was just
question.
asking, how does this compare to
Great-
other
great
park
question.
districts?
Yeah.
All of them are a little bit different. You go to Highland Park, Winnetka, they kind of tend to have some more of like a cove
Okay.
feel, so it's not really a true roped out swim zone. Winnetka, I don't think has a designated swim zone, but they have buoys out that actually mark the area.
And a lot of them don't have a boater
Boat
launch right
beach.
next to our
Yes.
swim.
Correct.
So that's the biggest difference. Will Matt, their swimming and boating are totally separate.
Yeah.
When we made the
Right.
choice, because there was so, during
Yeah.
COVID, everybody wanted a paddleboard. We expanded and this South Beach has been expanding, but we even added more boaters. That's why we're always careful how many boaters we add too, because it affects the swimming thing. So since we made the decision to add more boats here, we have to be really careful because when do they all want to launch? On a Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah,
At the
right.
same time. So you have to take that into account too. It's a hard decision.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
something to noodle. And what we'll do after this is we'll, right, Erica, we'll download all this onto your Google Drive so you can look at all these slides. So when the next time we meet, because probably that's what's going to happen, this discussion will take place. You can digest all this, kind of come back and maybe in January committee, we'll have a more,
Yeah.
what you want to choose.
Yeah, I think that.
You know, we have a few more. We're not done yet though. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So
hold
we
on,
have a similar
no, yeah.
discussion on the courtesy card, unless anyone
Hold on.
else have any questions?
We still have Curtis Car and rocks.
Okay,
Don't stop us now.
I'm making an executive decision on.
Discuss the rock.
Yeah.
Just wait, we have to
Go.
talk rock.
I have feelings.
So as you may or may not know, we have a courtesy cart, which is a golf cart that operates 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., one shift per day. It's very popular. It transports patrons from the parking area to the bottom at where the boardwalk starts at the beach level. After 5 p.m., managers who are on duty will provide ADA service. So somebody maybe have mobility issues or needs to get to the top. By request, we do operate it. But as long as I've been here, the golf cart has operated from 10 to 5 p.m. So we do ask the community what their thoughts are on the beach cart. 40% said excellent, 24 said very good. We did have 10% say fair and 2% say poor. There was some comments in the survey that you probably saw that we wanted to extend that, probably a half dozen. So we did look at a model of expanding that per hour. So you can see down the bottom, if we expanded it to 6, 7, 8, or 9, these are the financial costs. It's basically around $1,500 an hour to expand the service for the season. So our question for the board again to consider is, do you want to expand the cart service? Operationally, we could absolutely do it. We'd probably split some shifts and things like that, which in the background, but it would basically be an additional expense that there will be no revenue associated, but clearly there would be a service level that people would appreciate. But to what cost would the board want to subsidize if we did expand that?
But this has 90% like it today. And we don't know what the other 10% want, except for the comments. They may want to say, oh, well, I don't like waiting 2 minutes in the car. I don't like, to me, this is one where I think this one actually works fairly well because we have that ability to help out with the ADA after hours. So
There's some comments about having multiple carts,
Right.
having them ready at all times, which is not, it's not reality. Also, having multiple carts going up and down at the same time is not realistic.
People just said they don't want to wait. They want to come and then.
they want, right. But this is one where I don't think multiple carts is the option. I think the only option is extended hours. And I don't see a bang for our buck with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I am a walker. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
unless if there were people who, had disabilities and we're not able to, right, but because we can offer that.
I think as long as it's available to the elderly, people with disabilities, a situation happens, say someone gets injured, things like that. As long as that is available, I don't see the need for another cart or changing it.
Yeah. And the staff that do the credentials know this, right? So they see someone coming in with crutches, or they see someone that needs help, they're aware.
We don't always do for families that want that, but because the managers would be busy, but ADA always.
Yeah.
I've even, just because of the youngest, when they see her walking up the hill, I've had the carts.
She stops and says, "Can I
No,
get
yes,
you
if you want to ride, which is so nice. I always turn it down because I feel like it's a good exercise for me to do. But
It is.
but the cart stuff has been incredible. I thought.
Yes. Okay, well, so
So we
pretty
feel-
much the thing is no
We
changes.
feel
in
good
golf
about no
carts?
changes on
Yeah,
this
no
one?
Okay, 2 decisions. I'm loving this tonight. Okay.
Oh my God, I have a funny story. on
Meg,
that.
You got this
Can we hear Meg's comments before you go through it? I'm excited to hear what you think, Meg.
Can't wait to educate her.
I just can't, I can't believe this is a.
A subject,
people
right?
Want me to change the rocks?
They want us to
They want
smooth
them
them
both.
every night.
It does,
I mean, do you know how many times we would have to do that? We'd have to do that every day. We'd have to do that every.
3 hours of labor per grooming.
Oh, but this is what we do. So
Yep.
Adam, tell them what we do, and that's not even the rocks.
So if you didn't know, rocks are naturally occurring on our beach. We do not bring them in every year to antagonize our residents, but
Someone actually put that down. Do you bring rocks in? No. You do.
our current beach grooming, we obviously commercial rock picker. There are some limitations to it, but it does do an excellent job. We do it generally 2 days per week on Mondays and Fridays. It's done before 9 a.m. or for sure by the time we're operating at 10. It does take up to 3 labor hours. It depends on them, the employee that's doing it and their obviously level of expertise
But it's just
navigating.
it's just the sand. It is
Sand,
not
not
the
water.
water.
Yeah.
Water.
So it does have limited mobility.
Rocks
like-
in the sand.
Yep. So going around the playground features, like obviously can't get in close to those around, some of those types of structures. And obviously can't go near the shoreline or in the water, which is where a lot of our rocks do live. So survey feedback, 17% of the respondents in the survey did mention rocks and sand.
In the Yelp reviews from before, we have a rocky, that's what,
Yeah.
we can't go in the
Rocky
water and remove
Yeah.
the rocks.
Yeah.
That it is what it is. And I guess not all of the beaches in the area.
They don't.
are that
I'm
way.
gonna explain that in a second.
Drifts, we did some research.
with Okay.
It goes from north to south, so all the sand goes south.
Yeah.
Certainly with the high bluffs,
Right.
they're more rocky. So what happens is we get all the rocks from Milwaukee, from Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, they all come down Highland Park. They don't have natural sand. They have rocks. Why all the sand that we have south towards Indiana, Evanston.
So Wilmette gets
Matt.
sand,
Well, Matt, you walk out to your
Evanston,
waist, you can't get-
Evanston gets.
Chicago, they all get our sand.
Okay.
they get all that sand.
To the point where I guess when I first started, but 5 years prior to that, they would actually go to Wilmette, pick up sand and bring it back. But now that they don't have extra sand anymore, so that used to be a thing.
I guess from the board's point, any discussion items, any things you guys think we should be doing to change how we're currently managing our rocky beach?
Honestly, what we should be doing is we should put a sign up there that says Here's your natural habitat and why.
Yeah.
That's the only
That's
thing.
true.
That's a good
I
idea.
actually-
I agree with that.
Because we should inform the residents about what this is and why it's there.
I agree.
Not a bad idea.
We talk about the time, like, we'd be like shot, shape, redemption, put in your pants and bring them up. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it just, it really, we're,
I think-
shoes.
I think
But,
education is key here. I think
yeah.
It is, I agree, Michael.
Yeah.
I had family members that came over the summer, they're not from here. They were blown away that there were rocks. They legit asked that question.
know.
Why can't we just take the rocks
Put a
out? And I looked
sign
at them
up.
like, are you crazy?
I
Like,
want to get the rocks up, but people really believe
So
that.
yeah, I think
Aaron,
it's
this-
education that they're just
It-
gonna come back. They're
right,
gonna come-
this
it's
is,
a natural
this is a
habitat.
natural habitat,
It
yeah.
comes, it comes back with every season.
And they
There,
do it
there
in the
was,
winter.
there was question, can you bring sand down? You have to actually get a special permit, which we could absolutely get a special permit. It's a certain kind of sand. It can't be like Michigan sand, because it has to adhere to the sand we already have.
Yeah.
It would cost about $100,000 nowadays to bring sand down, because we have to bring it, dump at the top, bring it down in a smaller vehicle, put it on the beach.
Are we slowly losing sand?
Yes.
It's, well, we lose it, but it comes back.
So
So
we
we
start-
maintain our sand.
We're maintaining right now, but
Yeah.
Lisa and I were on the sound management group, which was a.
Yeah.
And specifically addresses, but it's maintaining.
It's
the comfort
maintaining,
Levels.
which we're
But
pretty
but
lucky.
that's, and I don't want to go too deep into this because I feel like we have other things to discuss. The lake fluctuates every year
Yeah.
based on the winter. Is it cold? Is it icy? Is it this? Is it that? And so there are years where it's high, there are years where it's low, and that has an impact.
And we have been for years, like Bobby said, we were on the sand management group. We're going to be, we were going to be one of the test areas to take dredge sand a much cheaper way and bring it to our beaches. So take it where it was settling a lot
Okay.
in the harbors and Waukegan and stuff, and then like shoot it onto our beach. So we actually were this close to having a grant for it.
Yeah.
We stopped it because we did not like the sand quality that was coming out of the dredge areas. So we're like, we're not putting that on our beach.
There's a
so-
lot of sand,
Other problem.
but okay.
And
so-
a whole other problem. So,
Yeah,
we
I
did-
think-
so anyways, it would not be, when people said, can you bring sand down? I think when they go to Michigan, their sand's way different than our sand. And
Very
they're expecting that because we're on Lake Michigan and we should all be the same, right? Same.
Their water temperature is
It's-
different than our water temperature.
It's not.
Very
So
different.
this is what our sand is. And I think probably your parents who's lived here forever know that this is Glencoe sand. So that's, but we want to educate you so that you can educate others.
Mhm.
That we can't do anything about the rocks.
This one's an interesting.
Does the board want to continue discussions at this
We
point?
keep on going or
I think we should, let's pose this and then if
give
you can
the
review, like, the
information.
sort of open questions for us to think about. And I think we need to think about how we're going to package this.
Yeah.
Because I think individually we can think about this and bring it back to the
Yeah,
next.
and like I said, we'll provide these slides so you can take a deeper dive. You'll see the questions. You can
Okay.
make, put your points and what you want to say. If there's anything more data that you need between now and our next committee meeting, because that's the next time, it would be January 6th, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. You can ask us for any other data points and we'll try to provide those to you.
I
um,
think the costs associated with each
Yeah.
of these is super
That's,
beneficial.
it
Thank
is
you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
That
we'll
together.
have this too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so this is what we currently do. So the beach is treated as a park outside of the regular season. There's no dedicated staff on site. There is maintenance done, normally in the AM. Garbage is removed, general cleaning of walkways, sun shelters and trellis areas. And then the beach house itself is cleaned before we're open. We do open the bathrooms and leave them open unattended on days where the temperature is over 78 degrees. What do other communities do? Really, they all do the same as us, except for Wilmette. They have an internal security team on weekends that basically clean the beach house that they have.
And the seasons, Bobby, important to note, the seasons are all the same.
Correct.
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Correct.
Every.
everybody.
It's a
has
struggle.
Memorial Day to
Yeah.
Labor Day, a lot of it due to labor.
Yeah, it's a struggle to find labor. Is it impossible? No, you could probably pay a lot of money and get some, and we did some modeling on that. But that's traditionally why everybody has not, because of staff
I'm
availability.
curious, did other beaches have similar issues that we did?
Oh, yes.
So this is not unique to Glencoe?
No,
Well, the one thing though, I mean, just from anecdotal driving, when we had our really busy Saturdays, Sundays, I would then just drive to only Tower Beach
Mhm.
in Winnetka and it was dead.
Mhm.
So like ours was like 1,000 people or like hundreds of cars and I
Mhm.
don't know why theirs was dead.
It's a good
I
question.
think ours has a better reputation for
Yeah.
the,
The
Beach
facility.
And I got
down
news for
below,
you.
Is that?
just the
second-
beach
yeah,
itself.
The beach itself, we were one of the top 5
Rated
beaches in the country
in
at
the
some
country at
point.
one
It made
point.
a magazine.
So you think the advertising?
I will just put this out there.
No,
We
sure,
are
it's just-
investing in our beach. We're investing in the playgrounds. We're going to continue to be attractive.
Mhm.
Tower Beach has one kind of lazy old playground, if I'm correct. I mean, it's
Winnetka's got
an older
multiple,
playground.
they got multiple beaches too
They
in
have multiple
Winneka.
beaches,
Yeah.
so-
Yeah. I know Wilmette was very, very busy and they had a lot of dog problems is what they said. They had a lot of people with dogs off leash was their major issue.
And these all have like, the bathrooms are open. It's the same kind of situation.
Wilmette does. Don't remember about Winneka. I don't remember if we asked them.
But also with our new beach house facility, we'll have bathrooms that face, we'll have one bathroom that faces external, right?
Well, we'll have ability to have use after season.
Right.
Yeah.
With-
Not external, it might be through a door, but we'll
Right.
lock the rest of the building up.
But now, right,
Yeah.
you have to kind of go into the building itself to.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you still will with the new thing, but it will be a separate door and the rest
Right.
of the building will be locked up.
Now with our showers, since it's unattended, I heard from people who had gone down, and so I went down and I did see the showers were just left running, which is a waste
Yeah,
of water.
it could have got stuck,
But are
whatever.
well, no, I was able to turn, I shut
Okay,
it right away.
okay.
Our new showers, do those have any, is there ability to like turn it off automatically if we
Well,
didn't have
my-
staff?
my
Just
th-
curious.
My recommendation is going
Yeah.
into the off season is we turn off the showers.
Okay,
After season, we leave the bathrooms there for
right, right.
essential needs, but
Mhm.
the showers don't have to be left on. Unless we have park ambassadors and then we can
Right,
leave it
right,
on.
yeah.
But like even
But
with
if
the
we're worried
faucet,
about
okay.
them, people
Right.
not shutting off things, so we just turn off the showers and
Right.
just leave the bathroom.
It's rare that we see people actually.
Even during
shower.
showers, we should think about, Kyle, like the kind where you push the button, the water comes on for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Right,
And then it automatically goes off. And if you're taking a 10-minute shower, you push it twice.
I agree. Yeah.
Something to think about. It's a good point.
This next slide, I think everybody in here knows, just showing you the data that we had number of days over 80 degrees in September. Last year and this year, we had 15. Both those average temperatures for those 2 years were closer to 80 degrees compared to kind of lower 70s the 2 years before. So obviously when you have that, it's pretty clear that you're going to have more attendance. We did some placer AI data. So this is pings off cell phones on towers and looked at the number of people visiting in September over the various days. So Monday through Friday was pretty consistent. Saturdays was actually the lowest in the last four years this year for people in the off season, which is strange. But as everyone already knows, we had a pretty significant increase on Sundays. We had an average of 825 visitors to the beach that day compared to 620 the year before, 500 the year before, and 250 the year before. So the Sunday is clearly the day where the weather was strong, it was the nicest, and people attended the beach. So we were going to ask the board, what level of service do you want us to explore for after the season? Do you want us to look at park ambassadors? Do you want us to look at a skeleton crew or try to look at a more full crew and come back with costs on that?
Yeah, we did not do a cost analysis on this because we don't know what direction you want. Do you want just to look into park ambassadors after season? Do you want us to look at lifeguards? Knowing it's really hard to find lifeguards, it'd be very expensive. Do you want us to? Yeah, so.
I think weekend park ambassadors, probably.
And maybe the option of weekend park ambassadors
Yeah.
and weekend skeleton crew, no lifeguard, if our lawyers say that
Yeah.
could be, could be a fine to do, it might be good to compare.
Well, we do know lifeguards now, so we were able to
Yeah,
do that,
lifeguards
but
are
you
gonna
can't
be-
really charge a fee. That's where the lawyers get a little wiggy. It's like, all of a sudden you're charging a fee and you're not
see.
providing a lifeguard
Okay.
service. You probably could get away with going, okay, you could charge $5 and $10 because it's a less of a daily fee than the normal hours just to cover the cost of the
Just general.
like, the
operations.
park ambassador maintenance and things like that. But then you have to remember, then we also have to add attendance up top. So now while you take this $5 per person, you also have to now have
Person up there.
First up,
at least one or two people here and then two. So now you move it to four staff, as opposed to
Maybe
like
we
two.
look at
park
those two
ambassadors.
options of just an ambassador versus skeleton crew and maybe with a pricing of whatever minimal
Okay,
fee. And then.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Bobby?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Kind of like
So we'll
into
do that,
early
yeah.
October maybe, or to like the end of September or
End of September, I
end of
think.
September. Yeah,
I
we can
think-
do that.
Weekends only?
Weekends only.
Weekends only.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, we could definitely,
Fine.
Yeah.
The weekdays
I
are
think the
fine.
weekdays are fine.
Yeah.
It's not the issue. So without a doubt. And you have to remember also that
Sorry.
next fall, this will not be the
Right.
case because we'll be under construction.
Yep.
We still want to get it ironed out what we want to do just in case construction gets pushed back,
Yeah.
like say 2 weeks after Labor Day, and all of a sudden we're not open. But we are next year budgeting in the Parks Department budget. So you'll see an increase in that budget. A park ambassador just when we have the construction fence up
Mm.
to make sure on those weekends, only Friday night and weekends, that no one jumps the fence because we think that might be an issue. tempting. So we are budgeting that out of the parks budget next year.
Best thing is that we'll have one more early fall or post Labor Day of weather data
Yeah.
to look at as well. Just
Exactly.
to say, okay, is it a 3-year?
It's in 3 years,
Trend,
then we can
right.
make decisions, but we like to have it just
For
in our
reference,
back pocket,
yeah.
just in case it gets
Yeah.
pushed off.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're planning on starting, and Labor Day is 1 week later this year. It's the 7th. So we do have full service on that until the 7th. So,
What
Okay.
I was just thinking about this. Will be a good like experiment where we have the data from this year. We'll have data from next year of not operating, but our beaches, like our neighbors' beaches will be operating.
mhm.
Yeah, but we don't get too much data.
We don't get their placer ID. I don't even know if they have placer
Oh.
ID.
This is all weather contingent.
And it's all weather.
Can't
Thank you,
project all we
Gary.
want,
think-
that's until we see a 10-year trend. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, I mean, look at snow, we had the most snow ever in November.
November.
We don't know.
We don't know. And that's the thing. It's a year by year basis.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Next year could be
Nothing. You
70.
see bastards at 67 degrees and you're like, why am I
Yeah.
spending this money?
exactly.
I think the key here to
Right.
think about
You're
is
absolutely right.
is again, how do we get our bang for our buck? I think between now and January 6th, we've got time to mull over and think about a couple things. So the homework is bang for our buck.
Mhm.
I think the homework is, what do we expect the benefit to be for each investment that we have? What is the benefit of the park ambassadors on the weekends? What is the benefit of a skeleton crew on the weekends? What's the benefit of an extra hour on this day? And is that something that we think the community
Would want.
would want? And that's, we have a few weeks to figure this out.
I have a quick question, because I remember in the last presentation, Shannon had talked about how she was able to recoup some costs on like colder weather days by calling staff off. Is that an option for
Well,
the
we-
post Labor Day scenario on the
Yeah,
weekends?
that's our standard practice. If we have, what is it, 67,
What?
I hate that practice.
65?
Make money.
I think people,
Yeah.
I think that's something it's standard practice. I don't like it.
Mm. But
Because I
we're
think people
good.
commit their time.
It creates it does create a morale issue occasionally.
It doesn't work.
Oh.
But it's standard.
I run a business like this. It's not ideal. You're not gonna get the staff you want.
We
If they
actually,
don't know they
we
can-
actually
We
do.
We do.
We
I think
do.
they get
Much better than I am. 25 years.
Now, and we do it well, but there are times where we'll say, okay, we need you to work because we have work for them to do, is clean up and things like that. But if we have 3 days of 65, we're not going to keep them around.
I
It's
think
just
in the
not-
summer, to your point, works really well. In the fall, when you're
In the
hiring
fall,
somebody,
it would
that's
not.
where you start, hey, you
Yeah.
promised me these hours and now you're
Yeah.
canceling it. That's what we
Bobby's
couldn't
exactly
do.
right. We have the high school, college, sometimes they're like, yeah, I don't want to work.
Yeah.
But if we're going to commit to these adults for
Something
park
different,
ambassador,
yeah.
we have to pay them.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, we can't pull them off.
We want
Good point, Bobby. Okay, the next, I think the other one is you'll see in the packet, it's not really for us to debate because parking is not operated by us, but some of our operational decisions we make affect parking. But the village is looking at this issue. We've met, Bobby and I have met with them twice. We're going to have a forum with them to talk about that. Some things right now, they have parking restrictions in place until Labor Day. Maybe they'll extend those parking restrictions until October 1st. But we just wanted to give you idea of what other communities do for parking. Again, it's comparing apples to oranges, bananas. I throw bananas in there
Yeah.
because it's totally different. Our parking is unlike anybody else's parking. So
Yeah.
if you want to.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, absolutely. You can see here that everybody's got a different setup, depends on what the community does, and what amenities are there too. So like Lisa said, apples, oranges to bananas. We did do some comparisons in what communities offer, like Highland Park's got a resident-only parking and also a non-resident that they charge an hourly rate on. Those lots are small. They tend to fill up. They're pretty limited too for non-residents to 4 hours, and then residents have to pay a parking permit every year.
How do our non-resident numbers compare to our neighbors?
Do you know what our non-resident numbers are?
Visits,
Yeah, compared to our neighbors.
it's a
Are
good
we-
question. We haven't got that data out of them, but we could try to gather
It'd be
some.
huge to
yeah.
know that if we're overwhelmed, our numbers are dramatically higher, then we got to figure out, if we need to figure out, we want to figure out
Yeah.
why.
We did pull the Placer AI data for the seasons about like total visitors, and we were right in line with the other communities. When Wilmette has a lot. I think they're more than double our number of visits every year. So they're so close to Evanston in the city, so they get a different crowd. They also have 4 guard towers. Like it's a big beach. Lake Bluff is the smallest, I believe. Highland Park, I think we're right in line too. But we can do some data digging and see if we can get some data on that.
Well, I mean, you almost have to do visitors per square foot almost. You can't really compare yourself to Wilmette if they're,
Yeah.
it's like
Met, I don't think is the right compare. I still go back to it's Winnetka first.
Winneck has always been the,
Winnetka is the best.
Right, and then maybe Highland.
Maybe Highland Park,
So
yeah,
maybe
still the
just
same
so
size.
I understand Highland Park, you
Right.
can buy a daily pass,
But you
let's say
could
you're
do
not a
that. You can't
resident.
just
You
go
can buy a daily
300
pass, which
if
would
you-
theoretically be for the whole day, but they only let you park for 4 hours.
correct.
You can't renew that. So it's kind of like your daily pass means you only get to be at the beach for 4 hours.
If you've driven your car or that you go park there.
Not resident.
Yeah, then
like
you can
where else
park,
are gonna-
you can park up in the Ravinia Business District area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wonder if they don't have a lot of non-residents.
They,
going.
they also, that is their parking lot. I go to the beach quite a lot there. It's rarely busy from anytime I've been there.
I just feel like their parking probably cuts back on non-resident.
Yeah, I can tell you that parking lot is jammed. The resident parking lot is absolutely jammed.
It is, huh?
Almost never get a parking when I go down there. So like Bluff, there's basically no parking. It's just street parking outside, just on residential streets. They have a very small, you can't see it here, basically 20 by 20 parking pad. Yeah, an ADA parking spot. But it's basically residents, it's street parking. Lake Forest, this is a Forest Park beach. They've got large lots. This probably where see the price there for non-residents for their parking permit is
Oh my gosh, that's 910.
$910. But that's controlled by their city.
Oh,
And then this is Gilson. They have multiple parking lots too.
basically.
So Gilson's got multiple paid lots and then there's limited parking as well on some of the other streets that are a little further away. So all these facilities are very different to Lisa's point. And then Winnecka's got multiple beaches with multiple different types of parking lots as well. So it's just, there's a lot of different options
I mean,
depending.
I think Lake Bluff is the one closest to our beach, correct?
Theirs is just street parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Winnecka's got a little bit, there's some lots there kind of similar to ours and then some people move to the residential. What ends up happening is a lot of the traffic ends up in the residential neighborhoods. So, they'll drop off, cause some congestion, and then they'll park further away.
I mean, at quick glance, you can kind of tell, I mean, people come here, you could save $20, but they park for free and walk a block. I mean, it's a no-brainer for people coming from outside. You have to pay for all your family to come to the beach and you can park for free. Well, what are you gonna do? It's a nice beach too. So it's not just about, but it's about saving money. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what we should do about it. I'm just saying, I only heard that when I first moved here, but now it's clear as day, you know?
And I
Very-
would be remiss if I didn't tell you that there was a push by our representative, Katzmal, of making sure that our beaches, everybody's beaches on the North Shore were accessible to non-residents and making sure that there's not any policy or procedures that are keeping non-residents off which they consider this is a public, a natural occurring phenomenon. And it should be available for non-residents. So there was a push and it died. But it did go to committee. I don't know if it went to committee or if it went to the,
It went to the rules.
it went to,
It was
it was assigned to IDNR task force, which hasn't met yet. And I've been saying that we have to be on it and we are on it because I pushed for that.
I have
But
oh, sorry.
so there's a push for that. We've been pushing back, saying that the taxpayers invested a lot of money and things like, I'm just making you aware because every year I know that it happened.
Well, but in
at the-
Chicago, I'm not aware of free, in Chicago, if you want to go to their beaches, which are free, the parking, I'm just saying.
I
if
know,
you- yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
arguing one way or
Their
another. I'm
parking
just
is up the
saying,
nose in the city of Chicago.
I'm
to
just saying
park
that
by the beach.
this is a reality for us and that this year especially, and I don't know if this happened at other beaches, we had people come and, yell at our staff going, the beach isn't full, why aren't you letting non-residents down? I just wanted to make you aware of that, whether I agree or disagree on that. It's just that there is a push to make sure that we keep our beaches available for non-residents. And we think we have, and we have argued that case in front of the representative because we do those beach passes. We have our non-resident rates are very fair compared to other districts.
We also
So-
have free parking at the train station.
Yes.
Correct.
Which is 5 blocks
not
away.
far.
But in the
Yes.
city of Chicago, if you're gonna go to North Ave
Yeah,
Beach,
correct.
you're gonna park in the Lincoln Park Zoo lot, which is also 5 blocks away. parking is extremely
People aren't driving
emotional.
between North Avenue.
No, it's emotional
No,
That's not.
and it is
that's not,
irrational.
that's not even.
It's emotional, irrational.
And I would
I would
put
agree
this out
with
there
that.
as well.
Yep.
People will drive 5 miles away to save 5 cents a gallon on gas. It is also irrational. And it is our job, here to think about how we balance all of that out. And it's just
It is.
not
That's your
easy.
job.
We have a great turnaround. If you're a family of 5, we have a great place where you can drop people off.
Mhm.
They can turn around. Mom, dad, teenage kid can go drive and park at the train station for free and then walk back. It is a 12-minute walk.
Again, we're having.
And I would
this-
argue in the city, like,
It's gonna
if
be
you could park for
Yeah,
free
it's
in 12
totally
minutes,
different.
Yeah.
it would be a no-brainer. But here in the suburbs,
I know.
it's not.
Don't
So,
like to, don't like.
so
to-
that's something that Phil has to figure out.
Yeah,
And
this is not for,
this is the village has to
we're
figure
just
this out.
providing this
Yeah.
information. We provided the same information to the village. There's a lot of other things that play into it. Like if they do parking restrictions, then the houses can't, their landscapers can't park there, their guests can't park there. So there's a lot of things that go into this
There is a
that
great
I'm not versed enough to explain. That would be on that
I highly
that
recommend the
meeting we're
book
having.
at the Glencoe Public Library because got it myself called Paved Paradise. And it talks about the psychology of parking and how parking has shifted Americans.
Really?
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Really?
It is a fabulous book. I picked it up cover to cover. But if you think about it, the village has the same problem.
Yeah.
They got rid of a 40 or 50 place restaurant where we have like a total of 2 restaurants for 4 parking spots. Because people, even though 2 blocks away is the train station, people want to park right there. And it's emotional.
Yeah. I also just keep going back to like the real estate of, this is a very unique situation that we're dealing with the real estate of Glencoe as a whole. I don't mean housing, I mean just the way it's designed and set up. It doesn't lend itself well. Comparing it, for example, to Chicago, first and foremost, all their parking, it has to be charged because they sold that. So they need to make the money because it's been committed for 75
Well,
years,
I
you
know,
know what
but
I
I'm
mean?
just saying with the Tracy argument.
It's, they've always charged, but like it's even more intense now.
Yeah.
I just go back to, it's not something in our control. So thank you for giving them the feedback. But I just
Right.
also remember to our reminders of this is not in our control.
Not our control, right? And we're going to give them this information and,
Yeah.
work on our side, what we can do
Yeah.
to impact how many people come. But yeah, so that's that. So,
But we've got homework to do.
yep. All right, so we will provide all this information to you. It'll be we'll put it on your Google, right? We can do that, right? Google.
Thank you.
So, and then we'll meet again at our next committee meeting on the subject. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah, this is good.
This was good. Thank
So-
you.
Mhm.
Very,
Yeah, thanks for
I
all-
know,
That was a quick turnaround.
yeah, it's quick turnaround and really detailed.
Yeah.
And a
Very
gallon of
helpful.
information into a shot glass time of a meeting.
Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you. Bless you.
Perfect. Well, let's move on then to have the discussion of the 26-27 board calendar. Lisa, due to
Listen,
update opening meeting legislation act, we cannot hold public meetings or on any election days, which impacts 2 standard meeting dates for 26-27. The March board meeting and the November committee meeting, and we need consensus for the alternative dates.
So we approve this next at the December board meeting. So looking at the March board meeting in 2026, it's election day. So we have to move that for the new law. So with the board, because I know you always book Tuesdays, would that same week, because we can still have it that week, would be normally 17th, would the 18th or not, would Wednesday or Thursday work better? What?
Which
March 18th or 19th, 2026.
Give me
the
just a
Wednesday.
second,
We don't know the.
because we
spring
tend to do things.
It's not spring
not
break,
spring
is it?
Okay. I
Spring
think spring
breaks
break's usually the week after.
Later, it's like.
So it is
20th,
for March, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know you probably don't
Avoided-
know your schedules, but I
Yeah.
don't know if we could just.
I think this is far enough in advance for me. If you pick a day, I'll avoid it, and I'm going to beg and hope that Erica updates my calendar.
She will. So how about does Wednesday, March 18th work?
That's fine.
That's fine.
I don't see why
I
not.
don't know, well, the
you
committee is
were
gonna
here.
be Wednesday night meetings.
It's on the 4th,
The
that's
committee
on the
is-
4th.
Committee's on the 4th Wednesday. this would be the
Wednesday, so
second
you're
and third.
fine.
Yeah.
Yep. We check that too. Okay, and the next one is November 2026 and same kind, it's a committee meeting. So normally would be the 3rd, So if we move it to the 4th, would that work?
Yeah, the
Wednesday,
day after
fourth?
election day.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. So we
Okay.
will put that also, does any of the other dates look fine? We'll put this in the consent agenda also for approval, knowing that sometimes it changes, but it's just really hard to, you have to post and all this stuff. So we
Okay.
avoided, holidays, Jewish holidays and things like that. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Let's move on to other business. As discussed in the November board meeting, the board needs to come to consensus on who will represent the Park District on the Village Plan Commission. And I think we have, I'd like to nominate my colleague, Gary Hazen for that. Do we have to do a vote or
Mm-mm,
just
you
a-
do not. You will be, if the board comes to consensus and says, yes, Gary, then the village board votes you on to that.
So I know we've had some discussions one-on-one, but want to make sure that we are aligned with Gary.
If anybody wants to fight me for it. well,
Yeah. All good? Okay, so we have consensus there. Perfect. And then I don't think there's any reason to enter into a closed session.
There is not.
Okay, then I recommend a motion, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lisa, please record the time.
9:06. Good job.